And we are... wait. It's green. Are we getting video? There's video. All right, we're live.
From the industrial wastelands of Michigan, the fruited plains of Iowa, this is the American Green Track.
You are the dead. Remain exactly where you are. Make no move until you are ordered.
We burn them to ashes and then burn the ashes. That's our official motto.
Now we can see you. Clasp your hands behind your heads. Stand out in the middle of the room. Stand back to back.
Who can explain the fascination of what draws us to it, whether we're young or old?
Here comes the candles will light you to bed. Here the chopper to chop off your head.
And welcome to the American Green Factory podcast. This is Nathan.
This is Conlon.
Andrew?
All right, all three of us again. The three of us. Well, you won't I don't know if you heard or not. I'm sure you did. You won't have to worry about making Filmstruck work on your Roku anymore. It's going out of business, so.
Oh, Filmstruck is?
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus.
The 29th of this month, they're
Yeah, that's a wrap.
Wow, okay. I guess I mean, I haven't really followed the company that much, but I figured it was doing okay.
Well, apparently, like they said, they had. Well, I don't know. I kind of read a fan site. They said they had a strong, what do you call that? Like a limited but loyal following.
Yeah.
Oh.
But so Time Warner owns Filmstruck. They recently got bought out by AT&T. AT&T decided, let's get rid of all this niche shit. And so that was niche, and they got rid of it.
Well, see, you said AT&T. I was like, well, that's not good. Because all they do is cut wasted money. Fucking left
Well,
and
the
right.
good news is Sears, Overstock.com, and Pets.com are going to start their own streaming services. Hopefully they'll pick up some of the slack. I'm just making it up.
All I was going to say is, like, what the fuck are you talking about?
It has a streaming service now.
No, I know. There was an article I recently read about how streaming services only get more expensive now because it's basically going to take over cable, but also everybody has their own streaming service, like you said, whereas Overstock.com, Sears, Outlet, and fucking everybody else.
Airbnb will stream live porn, hidden cameras in the bedrooms of people that rent. I'm kidding. Don't sue me. I'm making that up.
I'm sure it's a good idea.
I'm sure it's happening.
It's happening.
Nobody rents an Airbnb not to have sex in it. I mean, it's just...
I'm probably not a million miles away from some kind of dark truth there. Yeah, so that's
So we got about 3 more movies we can do.
we're gonna carry on though. This excellence, this tradition, this legacy of excellence we have almost close to a decade of podcasting under our belt.
Well, I guess I'll try to watch like Yojimbo and a bunch of Kurosawa stuff before it goes off. Since otherwise I'll have to buy them.
Well, we probably stop doing Criterion.
Well,
movies.
yeah. I'm just saying, for me personally, I'd like to see more of Kurosawa stuff before it ends.
Yeah. We'll be back to the depths of Amazon and Netflix, and it's like, what BBB movie can we watch from 1996? And we'll find. I'm sure there'll be shit.
Yeah, no, because I remember why I told you about, like, we are gonna do the films in '99, maybe.
Yeah.
It was either that or do like guilty pleasure movies like people no one's ever heard of, like Scar City, starring what's the Stephen Baldwin and Tia Carrere, which is just a gritty cop movie that's kind of well done, but like bad, but
What's
enjoyable.
the one where everyone's switching bodies?
Oh yeah, that one's great.
McLaughlin's in it.
Yeah,
and-
Kyle MacLachlan's in it. And yeah, that's another like Stephen Baldwin B movie that's better than It Has Any Right to Be.
Yeah.
And you have like the he walks into his office and like there's like some big bodybuilding guy there. He's like, "Hey, Steven." He's like, "What the fuck?" And then they see like some schlub like running on a treadmill. It's like, oh, he switches body with his trainer and makes his trainer run on the treadmill so he doesn't have to. It's like, that's genius.
Well,
Yeah, that
there's-
was.
Oh, sorry.
Richard K. Morgan had some version of that in his Takashi Kovacs novels, where the people would they were expert surfers and terrorists. But they would trade bodies with people so they could. What were they doing? I don't know. They were basically keeping them in shape, in tip-top shape, and teaching them how to surf or something. It was a weird kind of side thing.
Oh, like creating muscle memory for how to surf or something.
Yeah, it was something like that. But these people had like these wildly superior, genetically custom engineered bodies, and these guys would basically teach them how to surf through muscle memory. Oh yeah, I'm reading his new novel now.
Oh, he's got one.
Yeah, Into Thin Air. It's basically a sequel to 13.
Okay.
But I don't know what the timeline is. I think it's a lot. It's like 200 years from something. I'm just getting into it, so.
But yeah, also I was going to do film in 99 because it means next year all those movies are going to be 20 years old.
Yeah, that's.
Fight Club and The Matrix are 20 years old, or are going to be.
They put something on Facebook. They had some shots from the original Matrix about how the guys were dressed in green suits and had green 2x4s. And Keanu Reeves and what's the lady's name? Carrie Moss.
Yeah.
When they do the thing where they'd fall back and they were doing the bullet time. Yeah, those were guys holding them up in green suits on 2x4s. Because people's legs don't bend like that and support their whole body weight unless you're in the Matrix. It's like, oh, okay, that's what they were doing.
Well, there's this one movie that was there from like '98. It's called Daylight or Daybreak or something like that with Cuba Gooding Jr. It's on Netflix. I just saw the other day.
Is that the post-apocalyptic one?
I think, yeah. I just never heard of it before. I'm like, what the fuck is this movie? Because there's a similar movie called like Daylight with Sylvester Stallone.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, I know that movie. I've seen that movie like 3 times. Where the hell is this movie?
I thought you were going to be talking, what was it, like Cool Zero or something? Like where it's Cuba Gooding Jr. and like, I can't remember the other guy. Like
Pines?
Huh? No.
Oh, okay.
It's like, I can't remember. It's like Russet something or Skeet Ulrich or some shit like that. And it's like a really bad action movie where like Cuba Gooding Jr. is like an ice cream guy, ice cream man, and like there's some virus that they have to like keep cold or else it'll kill the whole world. It's a really dumb movie. And this is like after Jerry Maguire. This is after he won an Oscar.
Yeah, Cuba Gooding Jr. must have the same age, or who's the guy from 300 who played King Leonidas?
Gerard Butler.
Yeah, I think him and Cuba Gooding Jr. had the same agent or something. We're gonna make one great movie, and then everything else is gonna be bad in ways that only the gods will weep at how bad some of these movies are gonna be.
I don't know. People really like those like fall movies.
Yeah,
Olympus Has Fallen and London Has Fallen.
You don't like Machine Gun Preacher or Den of Thieves or fucking.
I never saw Den of Thieves. That looked interesting in the trailers, but I figured it was just going to be a bad movie.
I had a chance to. I didn't watch it. Or the what's that one? The Gods of Egypt or whatever. What the guy that plays Jamie Lannister is the lead.
Yep.
And Gerard Butler is the God of War, which is fucking stupid as shit. But supposedly there's a good reason behind that.
With all white dudes is like, okay.
What did I ever tell you about that movie?
Well,
so that's directed by Alex Proyas, the guy who did The Crow and like what's that movie? Dark City.
Okay, that's a cool movie.
And iRobot and shit like that. And so he's Egyptian or has Egyptian heritage.
Yeah.
And like they actually like went through all this trouble to like try to be authentic. But like to get the movie made, like they had to have like they had to have white actors or at least people with names.
Yeah.
And so like they went through all this trouble just to be called racist for not hiring Egyptian actors.
I don't even think it's racist. It's just weird.
Yeah.
It's just like, well, I know there's some Egyptian actors, or at least people from the Middle East. I mean, what's the guy who played the Doctor on Deep Space Nine? He's always available.
Well, the same guy. The guy was in Bad Robot, the new Queen movie, and stuff like that.
Is that Rami Malek? Is that
yeah. Like somebody was recently apparently in like some type of show where he was playing an Egyptian citizen, and they're like, "Hey, way to go, Hollywood, for whitewashing." It's like he's Egyptian.
He looks
Like,
part of the world.
it's like, yes, people from Egypt aren't all like super dark skinned. I mean, he's olives. I mean, yes, I'm sure they downplay it somewhat, or with makeup or maybe special effects somewhat, but I don't think it really matters in anything he's been in what color his skin he's had.
No,
Like,
he either looks Eastern European or Middle Eastern. Didn't know which, but I knew it was one of those. I don't know. Some people are just keeping score on these odd wheels of.
But I think the latest, like, also Disaster as a movie and a disaster movie was a Geostorm that he was in.
Yeah.
I heard he was just drunk on set the whole time playing a scientist.
Probably.
Look at that, it's a hailstorm. Better get out your breath.
Where's my Earl Meyer flask?
Oops, I dropped my.
Russell Crowe on that shit.
Yeah, but Russell Crowe's actually turned his shit around somewhat. Like, he's had a couple good movies.
Also, he can act the shit out. He can act the shit around Gerard Butler drunk than Gerard Butler gets sober.
I've just heard Russell Crowe is a legendary drinker.
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah, that South Park episode where he just is constantly drunk and fighting people.
Yeah.
But I think that's what make your disaster movies stand out more. Is like have Gerard Butler actually be drunk the whole time, just like this guy survives an apocalypse by being drunk as fuck the whole time. Just
It makes my body loose. I don't break my bones.
I told my son, I said, "Yeah, next year for football, just show up to the games. I'll get you a flask. Just be drunk for the whole game, so you won't break bones."
No,
their playoff run ended last night.
Yeah.
Yeah. They had people ejected from the game for weird reasons. The field, we had 4 inches of rain in a day and a half. So the field was just like a mud pit. It was terrible. I mean, so the quarterbacks on either team, especially the other team, the guy would go back to pass and fall over. Standing water and mud all over the field.
Looks like another running play, Bob. No shit, Alex.
And the other team had white uniforms. It was hilarious. But you could tell.
And then they had brown uniforms.
Well, it was weird. You could, because that was the team with like 200 kids on the team, or so. I mean, it seems like that. I don't know how many kids were on the team, but you could tell, like, as the quarters went on, like all our players, they just, we had black uniforms, but they were just covered in mud. And the kids with the white uniforms, they would come out and you could tell who played the first quarter, who played the second, and then when they were real cycling deep into their players, because these guys would come out on the field in like the fourth quarter, just bright white uniforms. It's like, well, these guys haven't even played yet. But yeah, they got beat, but it was expected. I mean, they were in the playoffs, so yeah, you got some of these monster schools, you're never gonna beat them.
Yeah, especially schools with that deep a roster where it's like, okay, you ran one play, okay, get out of there. Now it's Jimmy Jr.'s number 2's turn to play.
There's some of those Detroit schools and some of those Catholic schools around Detroit. They do have these massive rosters of players where it's like it's just like, I had 15 injuries. That doesn't even phase them. They just bring in the reserves.
They got a real deep roster, Bob.
What was it? Last year we had 23 on our team, and 7 of them were out for injuries before the first 3 games were played. I mean, serious, like broken legs, busted collarbones. Like, they weren't going to play again that season, so they were down to 16 fucking players. And some kids just quit. Yeah, they get a rash of that. Kids don't like to go to school for 7 hours and then practice for 4 hours every day, 5 days a week or 4 days a week. And then on the weekends and everything else, some kids are just like, I'm not doing this.
It's like, I gotta do this later as an adult. I'm not gonna do this as a kid.
I got too much dope to smoke. No, that's what it is with kids nowadays. This wacky tobacco. They love that stuff.
Oh, you're next to Canada. You're like a 20-minute drive away from
Well,
Canada.
what is it? Proposition 1? Where it's about to. It's probably going to go legal here too on a state level.
Yeah.
We got Prop 1 coming up. We got Prop 1, Prop 2, and Prop 3, and they're probably all going to pass. So one's we're going to be the first state where they have there's no more gerrymandering. So the districts are actually going to be, I forget how they're going to do it, but it's basically by population. So, and of course, you know who doesn't want that? Fucking Republicans are hell. Because it's like, how can we appeal to all the massive black voters in these districts? Well, you can't. You're never going to win again. So just hang it up. They say the shit that happened in 2016, they don't want a replay of that. So we're going to be the first state with no gerrymandering, or a different kind of gerrymandering.
We forcefully move people around.
And then we're going to follow California, Colorado, and a few other states for legal marijuana and a dispensary system with state licensing. And state banks where you can deposit the money and all kinds of stuff.
Okay, that'll be good. So dispensaries aren't being constantly robbed because it's an all-cash business.
Yeah. They will be able to use banks, and we will have a 18% tax on everything sold, which will go straight to something.
Into a hole.
The schools, but it'll well, we can actually have roads again, maybe.
Or maybe Flint can have.
So into a hole.
Now, of course, I won't be able to participate because they've had medical marijuana here for over 12 years, and Ford puts it up in big bold letters. We only observe federal law when it comes to that. So if you fail a drug test here, you are fired. But then everyone smokes dope. So.
Don't they have to offer you rehab first?
Yeah, they can. Well, if you say something before they give you the drug test. If they suspect you and pull you in and say, we're giving you a drug test, you can be like, I need help. Now, if it's someone like me and I'm driving a forklift and I whack someone or do hundreds of thousands of dollars of damage, you can't say, oh, I need help, because it's just like, fuck you.
No, seriously, I need help. There's all these blood and guts.
I had to smoke dope for all the trauma it caused me. It's like, what happened?
I smoked it preemptively because I knew there was going to be a lot of trauma today.
I had a premonition, so I just got high. Why did you just avoid killing the people? Yeah, God's will.
You got to get with the flow of the universe. There's high highs and low lows. I've never been it won't affect me anyway. I've never been a pot guy.
No,
I use liquid drugs. So.
I mean, it wouldn't affect me either. It's just my union contract with the UAW is just literally, even if I test and I don't have to say anything and I know I'm high or whatever at the time, I still have to be offered rehab first. If I decline it, I'll be fired, but I get one shot at rehab. And if I relapse within the year, then I get fired as well. But it's not this whole, like, please forgive me, I smoked pot, Father. Like,
yeah.
Oh, God, don't take my job away. I'll suck your
oh, fuck.
No, they have something that I don't know. I've never dealt with it because I solved that problem. I don't drink or use drugs at work. So it's like, I don't know what they do. I know they send you to the Henry Ford, and it's like really nice rehab. It's like you're going to ride horses and carve shit out of wood and talk about your feelings or whatever the fuck. I don't know. I don't.
I still don't really believe in, I mean, I guess maybe if it cures you or whatever else is making you use drugs, as far as be depression or worrying, forgetting about your life troubles and stuff, I guess the distraction's good. But what is me riding a stallion through
Oh, it's because those programs are like giant money holes. Because it's like almost like a medical facility. So there's like certain side of like governmental you get, and then you just like, oh well, if I'm getting this government subsidy, I'll get more if it costs more to produce this thing.
No.
Yeah, so it's
So that's why you can like drive Lamborghinis and ride stallions. And,
yeah.
I mean, the thing with rehab is, and because I know a lot of people that are in either in AA or in some kind of rehab. And I'm always curious about it. I talk to him about like what led you here? Why did you do this? Why couldn't you just stop, A, B, or C? Because like the only real horrible thing I've never been able to stop in my life is just overeating. That's like my big fucked up thing. Everything else, I like to drink when I do the podcast and stuff, but I never understood. It's like, let's self-destruct on this stuff. And I've tried it all. I mean, it's, I just never found anything that really like got me. The cigarettes were sort of like that too. But again, I wasn't like robbing houses to buy cigarettes or missing work over cigarettes or selling the TV off the wall to buy cigarettes. So.
But I just choose to suck dick to buy cigarettes.
Well, I think that might mean other things. Like, you didn't have to suck that guy's dick for a pack of cigarettes. You make $120,000 a year. I know, but I was desperate. It's like,
plus, they call them fags, so I thought you kind of had to.
Yeah, I thought it was part of the. I think really kind of.
It's like rich people who steal groceries for the thrill.
I suck strange dick in an alley just for the experience.
Well, no, for the cigarette.
Yeah. I mean the cigarette. Yeah.
I've learned I can hold my breath for 2 minutes with an object lodged out of my throat.
I'm the fucking Navy SEAL and fucking dick. I could assemble a carburetor and suck dick.
I mean, people say rubbing your belly and patting your head's hard. Rubbing the balls and sucking dick is even harder. You gotta work the shaft and work the balls at the same time. Fucking hell. Like, I don't even know what we started talking about originally. I think it was just you talking about drug testing, and now it got...
Eventually,
the prop 1, 2, and 3.
Prop 1, which I totally agree on, no gerrymandering, good. Prop 2...
That's Prop 2.
Oh, sorry.
Prop 1 is dope for dope heads. Prop 2 is no gerrymandering. What's Proposition 3? It's another one I agree with. Oh, instant voter registration. Yeah, that's the other one. Yes, we're podcasting.
I got it.
So, I mean, instant voter registration would just basically be you can show up to the polls, register there, and vote there, right?
No, it's vote DMV registration.
I got it.
Oh, you guys don't have that?
I'm podcasting.
No, well, we do, but you have to ask. Now it's with this, it's going to be streamlined.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say we've had that for a while now, where I can do that and like go to the DMV, renew my license, and declare for whatever without being asked. So.
No, yeah, now we have motor voter registration, but it's something you got to do separately. It just makes it automatic. It's basically a way around all the fucking voter ID laws that they're trying to come up with everywhere, which are nonsense. So.
Can you guys renew your driver's license through the internet now without even going to the DMV?
No, they're working on that. Problem is here they have a lot of ID fraud in this state, and what's the other thing they have here? Because they have separate driver's license. Because if you go to Canada a lot, you get the passport driver's license, and you have the regular state license. Then you have state IDs, and then, but yeah, they have a lot of fraud problems here. So, we have big city crime here.
Did anybody, I mean, going back to Proposition 1, did anybody kind of like, the reason you guys are kind of pushing for legal marijuana now is that A, you've had medical marijuana for such a long time, and also that Canada now has legalized it, so it's a huge border security issue?
Yeah, there's a lot of reasons. The big thing is that it's just the tax. What is it?
A moneymaker.
Tax thing. Yeah, we need money.
You don't need to put up red light cameras anymore. Just sell weed.
Yep.
I thought up a nightmare scenario about Trump wanting to repeal, which amendment was it? For citizenship?
Well, it's the 14th right now, yeah.
Yeah, birthright citizenship, 14th Amendment.
And then I was like thinking like, well then how the fuck are you going to consider someone a citizen? Like, and then I was like, wait, is this some weird, like, backdoor, like this is how we're going to make abortions illegal in America? Is like, now we're going to find citizenship like before birth?
Pre-birth citizen. Or we're just going to do it the way the Republicans want to do it, is just by the color of your skin.
Well,
Which is kind of what they're tacking towards slowly. They're just walking us to that.
I was talking to somebody the other day, and they were for Trump repealing Amendment 14 and saying it's like, oh, all these foreign babies born here are straining our resources. And it was like, well, technically, babies born to citizens strain our resources too. They don't pay taxes. So exactly.
Yeah, I was going to say, we got enough homegrown fucking wastoids doing that. We don't need to worry about the...
Well, because magically it's always the illegal immigrant that's getting Social Security, or illegal immigrant that's voting, or illegal immigrant that's doing this, that, or the other thing that's screwing over this country. And I'm like, how many of those cases actually exist? 100? 1,000? Is that really what you're fucking concerned about?
Oh, I like...
Well, because it's not... Well, they're not appealing to logic. It's just emotion. And like, there's this unwritten comic book out there called The Immigrant Man, and his adventures in destroying America.
I mean, it's just like they're worried about the one guy, Juan, that might be collecting Social Security and works as a gardener, living on high off the hog, getting his Twinkies paid for by food stamps.
Yeah.
That's rooting this country.
Yeah, what was I gonna say? Oh yeah, something. We had of course, a ferocious internet fight with some people about illegal immigrants voting. Because I don't know if you remember the last election, the reason Trump didn't win the popular vote, according to him, was because of all the illegal immigrant, like 14 million illegal immigrants. U.S. like almost the exact number of the vote that he lost, the popular vote that he lost by, was the number of illegals that voted, and people were like telling us this, like, well, you guys need to consider this. It's like, no, I don't need to consider that. That's fucking stupid. I mean, I'm worried about.
Where'd you get your illegal votes from?
I'm worried about that as much as I'm worried about aliens. And not the kind of aliens you're talking about. But it turns out there was 400 cases of that throughout the whole country where people got charged and about 20 of them got prosecuted. 2016, the whole shot. I mean, I don't know where I found that information, and I can't really verify the veracity of it, but it sounds about right. But somehow that translates into 16 million. But it's also how he does business math too, because remember, every business he's had has gone bankrupt into billions. So there's a weird math with that man that doesn't seem to add up.
Well, it's just something where he seems so obsessed with, like, you won the contest. Why the fuck do you care if you lost the popular vote or not? It's like somebody running a race and coming in first and then be like, I would be a hair faster if that fucking bitch would have had a bunch of illegal immigrants slow me down all the way. It's like, I don't...
Yeah. Oh, it's just like this, the thing to the midterms. We're having a Montana Nuremberg rally, or I'm sorry, Trump rally. For, sorry, I misspoke there. About immigration. It's like Montana, what the Canadians are invading. You're literally as far from Mexico as you can get in the United States. We're going to have a rally in Montana about illegal immigration and how the Democratic senator from Montana is, just in league with foreigners wanting to overthrow our country and whatever. It's like, this is so weird. You're not even, if you were doing that in Arizona or New Mexico or Texas, I can understand at least who you're trying to appeal to. But Montana? Like, are the Mexicans coming to Montana?
What's that one? It's like a movie or TV show where it's like everybody in town is basically white and they're like, get Todd. Where it's almost that type of campaign where there's like the one Mexican guy in all Montana. It's like, get Pedro. He's ruining the state.
But the thing is, in Montana, you get 20,000 people to fill an area.
Yeah,
you're getting a quarter of the population of Montana out to be scared about Mexican immigrants in a place where it's like you would freeze to death 9 months out of the year. And so I don't know. It's strange. I know. I try not to have about it. People tell me all this important stuff. It's like if the lady that's running for governor wins here. I think I talked about this already, but our health care is going to be taken away. Someone at work was telling us, it's like they're going to make your insurance illegal. And I was like, and then what? What's the end game there? They make it a crime for me to have insurance, so Ford cancels my insurance, and what happens? I get the flu, and I go bankrupt. Where does that put us? Is she going to do like a state insurance program? We're going to have like nationalized health care through Michigan? Or, well, I don't know about that, but I know our insurance is going to be illegal. Okay, but why? What's going to replace it? Again, you're telling me this passionately, but it's like, to what end? What's going to happen then? Well, I don't know, but our insurance is they just have the one thing, like a broken record. It's George Soros, the immigrant, Flat Earth, Jesus Christ, and now our health insurance is illegal. Okay.
Oh yeah,
she doesn't need facts; she just needs emotions.
Well, yeah, I was talking to your mom before the podcast started when I was upstairs and talking to her about, like, I keep seeing all these tack ads for against the Democratic nominee for governor this year in Iowa, and every time it's just, he'll raise your taxes. He'll raise, like, that's all it ever is. Just, he'll raise your taxes. And it's like, well, I'm not getting to the meat of the plan where he raises your taxes.
He'll slit your cousin's throat.
Not getting to the meat of the plan where he raises your taxes to pay for roads, healthcare, and education like he should. It's not raising taxes for the sake of, it just looks better with 12% instead of 11%, right, Tom? Like, yep.
Well, I mean, yeah, that's the fear mongering. It's super simplistic. Sometimes, I mean, in Michigan, I get real sketchy about them raising taxes because there's been so many scandals here of taxes went way up and nothing improves, and then we find out 2 years later like $50 million is missing from X, Y, and Z, but everyone's like clean hands, like we don't know what happened. Like, well, somebody better find out what happened to 50 million fucking dollars.
The Chicago effect.
Yeah, it's so sometimes when they talk about raising taxes, it's like, cool, I want rock solid like IRS accounting that shows me that the extra taxes I'm going to pay on X, Y, or Z are actually going to go to that, and we're going to see a result. I don't want taxes to go up and then it's like, well, I paid my cousin's consulting firm $100 million and we found out it wouldn't work, but we're going to still keep the taxes. Like, that's, sometimes the libertarians are right. 1% of the time they're right. Sometimes I think this gets a little excessive. And it's like, why are we paying 100? It's like our schools. We're having problems with our schools. Problem is they need more fucking money. I can see that. But they're paying like a consulting firm millions of dollars to tell them, yeah, you need to spend more money on your schools. It's like, could we just cut that out? We know that. I get it that these people who got got degrees in communications and fucking PowerPoint need jobs. I understand that. But how about if we paid my kid's teacher a little more? Maybe he has a ratio better of teacher student better than 1 in 50 or something. Like, why don't we just improve that? Let's start with the common sense things, and then, but no, it's more important to hire a consulting firm to say you need to spend more money on your schools, and then go after the teachers' unions and the teachers' pensions to put that money into the schools and say, well, the unions are fucking your students. It's like, no, you're trying to screw these people out of their pensions. But see, it's too confusing for some people. For some people, it's just Democrats bad, Republicans good. Or if you go into Ann Arbor, it's flipped around 180 degrees. It's, well, anything the Republicans say is bad, and everything the Democrats say is good. Well, it's like, so what are we going to be here? Are we going to be Norway or Russia? Which one are we doing? Because it's like, are we just going to be a socialist utopia, or are we just going to be a fucking desolate devil takes the hindmost hellhole? It's like, that seems to be the two polarities. We can't meet.
Well, liberal has become a very dirty word here during campaign. They're going to raise your taxes, or they're a liberal. And it's like, yep. Okay.
Your Democratic candidate is a liberal. Oh, God!
It's exactly how they say it. Abby Finkenauer, the woman running against Todd Bloom and stuff like that, where it's literally like, she's a liberal. It's like, okay. Anything else about her? Maybe she kills babies? Like, who knows?
She took your money to give a sucker to a black baby.
Yeah, give me some good information. At least make it exciting. Like, she's a satanic baby sacrificing lizard person. Oh, I'm not going to vote for that.
And she tips at Mexican restaurants.
And then they cut to like a...
tips in Mexico. Fucking terrific.
I'm not tipping here. That money, I'm already paid for that.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just saying it's basically what they're fucking doing because they have no actual argument. That's why I hate attack ads, because it's always the same. You're trying to drill that one simple, just like your guy, and they're taking away our healthcare and making it.
Well, it's like, I don't know. Somebody's probably, done it like, it's like, well, old people are the people who vote. How do we get their vote? It's like, oh.
I'm afraid.
We just go back to the 1950s and like, what was the attack ads back then? Like, it'll still work.
He's a dirty carpetbagger.
You don't want some northern carpetbagger coming to our state and tell, wait, we're a northern state. What the fuck are you talking about? Well, we mean the Canadians. They're going to try to bring pot and socialized medicine down here and destroy the American dream.
Yeah, because every time I've talked to any Republican, any diehard Trump person, any diehard that's kill every person that tries to cross the border person, it always comes down to the same agreement between the two of us. Yes, great health care that's affordable for everyone would be great, and good wages, and good benefits, and good vacation time, and being nice to one another. But as soon as it comes
However,
down...
we got to kill all these motherfuckers or we can have that dream. Like, wait, what? Well, hold on.
It's like, how come we can agree on such major issues as far as quality of life and what people deserve as the quality of life, but then at the same time it's like, well, that motherfucker doesn't apply because he's got brown skin, or that guy because he's got a funny accent. Like,
Well, that's literally, it's like the shit you used to read on the internet, on the craziest websites on the internet, where you would go to for a crazy experience, not for information, but for entertainment. That used to be like, that's where you'd hear like this talk of like a second, if we just have that second Holocaust, it's all gonna go our way. And it used to be like that. You would see that crazy shit, like the, just the, you'd be inundated with green frog memes, and that's where you'd read that shit. Now people are having casual conversations that include thought like that. It's like, do you have any idea what that? Because once you open that door, the killing's never going to stop, and no one's going to come in here and conquer us and make it stop. So, okay, if this is what you think you need, you're a crazy person, but.
yeah, because the one guy's justification at work, his comment overheard me talking to your mom, but it was just, he was talking about like, oh yeah, just put military people at the border and everybody's just shot dead, doesn't matter what they are,
Yeah, that's
women,
not always.
Women, children, he's like, I don't care if it makes us look bad. I'm like, I think it'll make us look more than bad.
They won't come back after that.
Yeah, and when we get fucking our economy completely destroyed for war crimes, that's gonna help. I mean, where's this gonna go?
Well, because I admitted to him, is like, yes, there's plenty of nations that have committed atrocities and genocide in the modern era, but they're not countries you want to live in. Oh yes.
Well, the fact
by Native Americans.
Well, the fact that we're having conversations with people, again, casual conversations with people that can drive cars and vote and are allowed to own firearms. The fact that we're having casual conversations now about trying to mitigate a potential genocide of like poor people and some border, that's just crazy. That just shows where the conversation has fallen. It's like, well, if we had to kill them, it'd be the hard thing. No, Bob, it'd be the craziest fucking thing you could imagine. The most unnecessary, ruthless kind of murder.
We elected a black guy. Nothing new happened, so let's go back to our idea.
Let's go back to the Great White Way.
It's just sad.
No, anyways.
And again, I'm not a liberal, and I'm still hearing this stuff, and I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? It's like, when did death become like prosperity and hope and working hand in hand and having a goal? That used to be a thing. Now it's like, well, a certain percentage of the population has to die. And then, like, what? The ship's gonna straighten right out, and we're gonna talk about that one fucked up weekend where all the Mexican restaurants closed.
I think it's just everybody got too much into the Hunger Games, and then they just really let it go.
Yeah, it's like that's the world I want to live. I'm too fat for that shit. I don't want a world of strife. I'm not the strife guy.
I mean, all they had to say for the Hunger Games was hunger, and it's a fat man. I was like, I'm out. I don't want to watch any of this. Like,
Guess it's the Suicide Games.
Just the beauty of the second Holocaust. But again, I don't know how serious it is, but the fact that it's moved from crazy, wacko internet sites to everyday, normal conversation is not a good sign. It's just, or people just feel.
Well, was that the thing about the 2016 election? Is that there's like, like, why were the polls so way off? Like, how could this happen? And it's like, oh, people were embarrassed to say they were Trump voters.
Yeah.
But now they're not.
They're completely the opposite.
yeah, because now they get to say anything they want because Trump gets to say anything he wants on national TV every day.
But yeah, let's swing in the right wing, and I'll talk about a gun for a while.
Right, yeah, let's get back to center. Let's ignore that mushroom cloud over our shoulder and start talking about the good times.
Well, we'll either be surprised or really surprised next week. So yeah.
Well, I'm not saying anything.
Yeah.
I already look
no predictions.
I already look like a dumb fuck in 2016. But then again, so did professional pollsters that were getting this shit. I'm just reading an article in New York Times and trying to blend it with a fart joke, but we were all wrong. And maybe we're wrong about this whole we got to kill everyone thing. Maybe that's the way it's got to go.
Oh shit, killing everyone was the way to go. Like, I should have started killing people a long time ago.
Son, come here. I want to tell you, Dad was wrong.
Here's a gun. Go find a victim.
I totally fucked this up. I thought, I went to church when I was a kid. I thought I understood how people work, but really just got to murder each other. Actually, history does indicate that you do have to murder each other. But anyway, the new gun.
Well, not a new gun. I saw another one of those,
YouTube
channel? Forgotten Weapons. Not a new one. It's Forgotten Weapons. I talked to him last time, but I saw a teardown of the AN-94, which is a Russian. Was supposed to be a potential replacement for the AK-47.
Oh, is that the one where the barrel reciprocates?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
It'll put two bullets in the same spot, like without the recoil hitting the shooter.
Yes, I've heard of these.
Holy shit! Is that gun complicated?
Completely the opposite of the AK-47.
It's got a fucking pulley system in there. It uses regular AK-47 mags, but when you look at it, it's like canted off to the angle. Like, that's how you put it in. It's like it's a little bit cocked, because the way it has to load a bolt, or it has to load a bullet like off to the side in order to like load it quicker for the second bolt to go in before the recoil hits the person. And like there's a weird like thing at the end where it's like taking, because it's like both piston driven and what do you call that, gas delineator,
gas recoil, something.
Yeah, well, whatever works in the AK-47, I can't remember what it's called.
Yeah,
or in the M16, how the gas is in that system. So it's like using both.
Right.
Yeah, that's just a fucking weird.
It never really took off. I guess it's really expensive though.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It was based off a Heckler and Koch design or something.
Oh, was it? Huh. Okay.
Yeah. Well, the Russians. The Russians.
Well, yeah. That's why I was like, really curious, because like usually the Russians are known for like, okay, we're gonna make something rugged and simple, but it's gonna be really functional too. And then this is like the complete opposite of that.
And also cheap.
Yeah. Oh, this is not cheap. It's complicated. There's almost no way you could repair it in the field.
And I'm sure mud getting in it wouldn't have been a good thing.
Yeah. I don't know. It was pretty closed off, but Yeah. It was,
Well, I mean, just the versatility of AK-47 is that you can just treat it like whatever you wanted to do and still fire.
I saw another video. He's like a friend of the Demolition Ranch guy.
Okay.
So he got like a Serbian AK-47 or something like that. It's supposed to be like the worst grade AK-47, or maybe it's like Albanian or something.
There's
And-
an Egyptian one called a Mahdi that's not very good either.
So he bought it, and like it wasn't loading the round. It wasn't feeding, and so like they like took a Dremel to it and like tried to fix it, and it wasn't. And they could get to like feed one round, and then it would jam. It's like, well, this isn't good. And they're like, fuck it. And they just like threw it in a fucking pond, and like just like and opened up the what do you call it, the chamber, and just like filled it full of pond scum, and then like they just racked a mag in and oh shit, it's working.
That sounds like a very Russian thing. Or very, yeah. Yeah, the Russian army was not keen to adopt this upon its introduction and trials in 1996 because the per unit cost of an AK-N74, which was a standard issue rifle to the Russian army at that time, was $48.
Jesus Christ.
The cost of an Akaban AK-N94 was $1,500. This is U.S. dollars, not Russian rubles.
Oh, yeah, that's not so bad. That's about the cost. That's about the
Yeah, but
cost of
that's
an M16 plus a scope.
That's a bulk buy, though. That's like the Russian army.
Oh, okay.
Bulk buy prices.
Okay.
Yeah, this was touted as being the most superior small arms type assault weapon or military weapon in the world, and like a lot of Russian things, it never came to fruition. The Spetsnaz and the Russian paratroopers use it in limited release. It is not compatible with a lot of AK parts, which are widely available in Russia and throughout the third world, and blah 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 blah. Yeah, so it's really expensive, way more expensive than an M4 for a bulk buy. Not for sale in the U.S. Damn.
Isn't the U.S. still looking at upgrading their main service rifle?
Oh, yeah, they've been looking at it for 15 years, and then they.
I mean, the one I used was the M16A4, so it's the fourth version. So it's got the Picatinny rails all over it, like four-sided rails and all that stuff, and they mostly are all come with the was it Trigicon ACOG? Yeah.
ACOG, yeah.
Yeah.
Which those are expensive, actually.
Yeah, it's the same price. It's the same price as the rifle.
Yeah. I have a EOTech on mine, which is a little more downscale. See, the Trigicon will work without batteries.
Yeah, it's got the tritium night sight.
Yeah.
We put some radiation here so you can see at night.
But also has a light pipe on it too. Where it
Yeah.
works day and
Yeah, sometimes you gotta put black tape on it because the chevron will get too bright.
oh yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah.
there's no power. Yeah, those ACOG scopes. There's no like battery powers in it. It's all like, so like there's like this is a little light tube. It's like uses, what the fuck you call that? Fiber optics. So it takes the light from there and then it makes the red chevron in the scope, and then you have a Trigicon or the tritium night sights, which is basically glows green at night. But you fucking you sight that in at night, and it's just like, well, here's a green chevron and blackness.
Ready to go. Use that Bravo thing. At night. That's really what's gonna get the work done.
I guess somebody was telling me the new generation of Glocks don't have night sights anymore.
Okay.
They took night sights off of those, and somebody else was telling me that because I was talking about Sig Sauers and how I kind of wanted to buy another one at some point because I love mine, and yours is actually a great gun too. And I like shooting yours.
If you don't throw it at the ground, it won't discharge.
But
Just remember that, kids. Don't charge a firearm and hurl it at the ground, and you're safe. But if you have to do that, that particular model of Sig Sauer is not the gun.
But somebody was talking about apparently Sig Sauer rifles are horrible.
Oh, they are?
Yeah, like they're really not in spec and they're not very tight and they shoot pretty poorly.
Huh.
But I've never really heard a lot about them, so.
I've heard good things about some of them. I don't know. Like you hear people talk about like uppers and lowers, and it's like it's like that Sig upper's all right, but the lowest or whatever, whatever. I hear they have one. It's like a Sig 550, which is more. It's more like an AK-47. I heard good things about that. But it doesn't look like an AK. It's kind of just more based on the operations of the AK.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it doesn't have to look like it for me. I'm not a huge fan of the style of the AK-47.
Yeah.
I had a South African AK-47 called a Vector. I had it for a little bit. I didn't. It was fun. It was fine. Still used like the. It was more. It had instead of a banana clip, it was like a straight down.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was a little. It was fun to shoot, but I sold it because it was like, okay, I got all I need out of it. That's why I quit buying guns, because the ones I have are the ones I really like. Everything else I just kind of got rid of because it's like, what am I doing with this? I don't like shooting it, because even my AR-15's for sale. I haven't found anyone because I want to sell all the. Like I want to sell the AR-15, all the magazines, and the EOTech and the magnifier and everything. The pit canny rail and everything I put on. Because guys want to like part it out. Well, I want this, but I want that. It's like, no, it's sold all as one thing, or I'm not selling it. I'm not going to keep a fucking sight around and or not, So, but yeah, I just like handguns now, and I want to get on a shotgun someday.
Have you been looking at just the regular like pump action or breech load, or have you been looking at automatic shotgun?
I like the pump actions are simple. Those automatic shotguns, except for like the Benellis, are really good, but you can't fucking touch them; they're so expensive. And so it's a lot of monkey motion too. I mean, I like those those Sagia. Fired one of those once. It's like the AK magazine, but it's modified. It shoots shotgun shells, but those are really unreliable. I've heard, so it's like, yeah.
Have you seen the ones where it's a shotgun that loads? There's two rails to it. One you can load 2 different types of ammunition in it and shoot.
Oh, yeah.
At the same time.
Seems like a lot to go wrong.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the double-barreled pump-action shotgun.
Oh no.
By standard manufacturing.
Oh, I haven't seen that one.
It basically looks like a fucking gun out of Doom or something. It looks like the BFG, and it loads like behind it has a pistol grip on it, and it loads like behind the pistol grip.
Isn't the pistol grip shotgun illegal in Iowa?
There's a handgun, I think.
Oh, okay.
Right. It might have got around it somehow. I don't know. What was the other one? Oh yeah, I saw a video on the Spaz 12 shotgun, which I didn't know that thing was both semi-automatic and, well, I guess, semi or pump action shotgun. Like you can switch it.
Pump either.
Yeah, you could do it. It's like a little thing, and there's like a button on it, and you hit it, and like you push it forward, and like now it's semi-auto, and you can bring it back. Now it's pump action, because it was like they built it for, like special forces and SWAT stuff.
Yeah.
So like they were saying like things where like beanbag rounds wouldn't reciprocate correctly if you had a bunch of those in, but you can pump them just fine.
Yeah.
So it's like for whatever load you have set up or whatever.
Yeah, that shotgun was like in every movie in the 80s. And 90s.
Yeah.
You needed a badass, futuristic-looking shotgun. That was it. But those are illegal to sell here.
Yeah, I think that got caught up in the
I don't think they were ever legal. I think they were always...
No, well, I don't know. I think on the video I was watching, it said like, after the assault weapons ban in 94 or something like that, they couldn't sell it here.
I think that's wrong. I should be able to mow down a whole bus of school children if I choose to.
Well, that's what that's what the AR-15's for now. Did you hear there was a yoga shooting?
No.
Yeah, someone went nuts in a yoga class and killed 2 people and shot 5 other people.
It's okay.
I'll show you a downward dog.
Well, I was talking to Stacy about it, and I said that's sex. Is what that is. That is someone who, because you shouldn't have men and women together in yoga classes. I always thought it's like, oh, you're just asking for trouble. There should be a man's class and a woman's class. Because if you got some guy in there who just like sees some woman in really tight clothes, really working it out. I mean, he's gonna fall in love, and of course she's gonna be like, "Get away from me, creep!" And then he's just like, the next time he comes in for yoga, he's gonna have a Glock handy, and that's gonna be it. Because people are crazy. But yeah, there was a yoga shooting. Okay.
Well, because I knew about the synagogue one that happened like last week, and then the mail bomb guy, and then there's supposedly another shooting, but I never really heard anything about that one.
Well, there was a guy who went into Kroger and shot people. But I think he was mad because there wasn't enough checkout lanes. I didn't get the whole story. Yeah. That might have been a more...
Ironically, all the checkout lanes closed when I started shooting up the place. This didn't solve anything.
Now no one can get their middle of the day pork rinds.
Well, I mean, honestly, you can't really go 1 or 2 days anymore without some type of shooting or some type of incident.
Well, I mean, that's just how it gets, reported.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because, the severity changes, but there's always a shooting.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't really agree with it, but I can see why they might do it because it seems like a good solution at the time, or I don't know. It seems like their only solution, I guess.
Well, no, it's just their last fantasy.
Yeah, see, the thing where it's going to get scary is everything you're seeing is still like one guy in a singular act of lunacy. I mean, sometimes, like the last one where you had a couple guys, I think was Columbine.
Well, I thought there was that one guy in California that his like girlfriend or wife helped him in the park, like corral people and try and shoot them or whatever.
Oh yeah, that was the guy who worked at the City Works or whatever. But when you start seeing like organized guys, like 10 people are on crazy websites, and then like they go out and it's like, we're gonna, as a group, as a force, we're gonna go out and collectively murder as many people as we can in a mall or something crazy. That's when it's gonna start going to the next level of like, oh, okay, this isn't lone idiots anymore. These are people acting as a group to stop whatever, the undermining of our rights or whatever they're mad about.
Or a sale Old Navy.
Yeah, it's whatever.
No,
when it becomes, I mean, the singular acts of lunacy are really rack up the kills, but and it's terrible and it's horrible, and I wouldn't want it to happen to anyone I knew. But it's when I'm really going to start getting like, oh shit, we're heading towards something, is when you start seeing groups of people do shit. That's when that means it's like, oh, this isn't just crazy lunatics on the internet. These are people with a movement now. Because a lot of these people say they have a movement and they're 1,000 strong or whatever, but when it's time to go actually do something crazy, you're like, hey, I got to pay my mortgage. Fuck this shit. This was like just a really weird LARPing thing for me. I'm not really going to commit to this.
Oh, I know, and that's the thing. You could, like you said, you could have like a bunch of people behind you, and just as soon as it comes to actually doing anything, that's how you find out who's actually gonna be good for it, I guess.
Well, that's why when they had that militia here, they wanted
when you plan to commit mass murder, that's when you really find out who your friends are.
It's like that militia group they had here like 10 years ago that they were gonna murder a cop, and then they were gonna wait in the woods at his funeral, like whenever it happened, with sniper rifles and try to murder more cops. There was like 8 guys talking like that. Of course, one of them was working for the FBI, and some other people called the FBI once that talk started, and these are the guys that got arrested and charged with all this shit, and then they had to let them go because it's like essentially all they did was talk. They didn't like go out and actually have plans and put bombs, or they just said, yeah, we should murder cops, and then at their funerals go murder more cops, and then we'll just cascade like this, and it'll start a movement of, I think these people were militia people / religious crazies, and I'm sure it had the Battle of Armageddon came into it somewhere. It always does with these guys, and it turns out they were just a bunch of farmers and factory workers that were behind on their mortgages, and to correct that problem, because that always works.
Well, with shit
like, oh shit, they killed 10 people. Let's just give them the deed to their house. If sovereign citizens, go with God.
Well, that doesn't even make fucking sense anymore, because even the definition of assault's changed so much that a person can just fear that you're going to hit them by what you're saying or your actions. So I'd be like, walk up to Khan and like, I really want to fucking hit you right now. And he can call the cops and press a fucking assault charge on me. But I can apparently talk about murdering cops all day long for about a year and nothing happens. Like,
Well, as long as you don't mention names and actions, and that's just, it's just a fiction.
No one was specifically named. Like, they hadn't targeted. Like, if you have a list and, like, plans drawn up by hand, you can be charged with shit then. Because that's
It's like conspiracy to commit murder.
so as long as I just go around doing this, like, I really want to hit somebody right now. Just doing that and never doing anything else, apparently
well,
that's
the
okay.
cops still might come and talk to you, but it's, these guys were just a bunch of goofballs. Because they all got let out and nothing's happened. Like, because there was bold statements made, like, we're going to die for the revolution, or people like, we're going to bust these guys out of the lockup. None of that shit ever happened. Because everyone's fucking woke up one day and it's like, this is stupid. I don't want to go to prison. I didn't believe as much as I thought. Or the angel didn't come from heaven, or whatever,
Or I stopped drinking heavily.
Yeah.
Like one of the two.
I actually did stop beating my wife.
Because she died.
I mean, you gotta stop somewhere. Might as well stop there.
What?
Listen, I don't feel anything anymore. If a living being isn't being hurt.
Yeah. Got her like a deer. Didn't feel nothing. Hallelujah. Like, yeah, you've achieved something. You did it.
Now put on Creed.
Yeah.
With arms wide open.
Have you, or not to change topics?
No, go ahead.
Also, no, but have you guys seen the new?
Into another visit from the ATF. Right?
Have you guys seen the new trailer for Natalie Portman's new movie with Jude Law? And that's like Love Foul or something.
Oh, like some Vox or something like
Yeah.
that? The Vox or something?
If you watch the trailer, doesn't like the first 10 seconds of that just like the next Natalie Portman rap out? Because it's like, what are you here for? What's your statement? Like, and then she starts talking. I'm like, this is gonna be an epic rap. And then like, oh yeah, it's a movie.
Pretty soon
Ah,
the
damn
people
it.
can start.
She's telling people to suck her dick.
Yeah.
Because the other one that was kind of funny was the Sandra Bullock like horror movie on Netflix or whatever that's coming
That
out.
looked kind of neat.
It does look neat, but the first comment I saw in the video when I scrolled down, because it didn't really say when it was coming out, or at least not that I saw.
I think
was like-
November or December. I can't remember.
Well, because they'd be like, this should be an awesome crossover with Daredevil. Where he comes into the show because it's a great environment for Daredevil. I'm like, yeah, that'd be cool, but yeah.
Did you see that trailer, Nathan?
No,
From-
I haven't.
Bird Box. It's based on a book. I'm not sure if you heard of the book or not.
It's actually got quite a decent cast from...
Yeah. It's like, well, I mean, it's a movie, so it's not too much effort. It's like, hey, I'll take $50 million from Netflix and be in this.
True.
Yeah, because I don't. It looks like it's like an apocalypse happens, but the reason it's happened is like something is making people believe shit's there that's not really there, and that people are acting crazy towards things that aren't there. So then people gotta like put blindfolds on their face and like try to reach around, and basically like in the trailer they kind of have it look like, like you can like they can't see anything, but then you can kind of see just like things on the edges of the corner that are like kind of creepy. Is like, is shit there or not? And it's like you just don't fucking know.
Well, to me, it's almost like a better version of The Happening.
Yeah.
That's what it seems like, anyway.
Oh, The Happening's great, but for the wrong reasons. Not for anything intentional.
I'm seeing a trailer of people walking around the woods with blindfolds on,
Ringing bells.
motor or bicycle thing on his
Yep.
bicycle bell. Sandra Bullock hasn't made a movie in a while, has she?
Yeah, she's been in stuff.
Ocean's 8.
Like the Ocean's 8, yeah.
Oh, okay.
And
You
then like
call
the
that a
Heat
movie?
before that and shit like that. Yeah, they did a Giant Bomb. They did a Film in 40s, which basically is when they make audio commentaries for movies.
Yeah.
And so they did one for Sandra Bullock's Premonition, which I guess was some horror movie because they're doing it for Halloween. And I went to go like watch it, and so I went on. I think it's called Stream It. I don't know what is. Yeah, I think it's Stream It. It'll find out like, hey, is this streaming? And it's like, oh, it's streaming on Stars. And it's like, okay, I'll go to Stars. So I logged into my Stars account, and I look for it, and it's not there. It's like, all right, all right, well maybe just fuck this up. So then I go to Amazon to try to like, maybe I'll rent it or I'll just fucking buy it. And they're like, you can watch it if you subscribe with stars through Amazon. It won't let me buy it. There's no way I can fucking watch this movie because they won't let me spend money for it unless I subscribe to stars that with a subscription that I already fucking have.
Well, that's weird.
Yeah. Weird edge case.
Huh.
To watch a not so great Sandra Bullock horror movie.
Yeah.
There's not some illegal boot cut on YouTube or some other.
I looked, there wasn't, they had all been like, you know, altered or changed, or it's just some scam to go to some other website to download a virus.
Yeah. Get your Russian bot virus.
Well, it seems like they do something either with the framing of certain things where they make the frame elongated or shorten it.
Yeah, there's ways to get around the automatic stuff that will just automatically like gate it or whatever, but then there's just a lot of scam shit on there.
Yeah.
Where like they like, you know, it's like, oh, this has a runtime of 1 hour and 50 minutes. It's like, okay, well, this must be the movie. And it's just like something that just loops for 150 minutes. It's like, go to this website.
Yeah, you gotta love
It's like, I just wanted to see Snow Dogs. This is not. Like, I did not sign up for this. Yeah. But no, I mean, it's, I don't know. There's a couple of good trailers this week and stuff like that. There's a couple ones I was waiting for. It didn't really pop up, but I mean, we'll see. I was kind of hoping to see an Irishman trailer at this point, since it seems like that movie's close to being, you know, ready to be released to the world. And
Which
stuff
one's
like
that?
Martin Scorsese's movie for Netflix.
Okay. That's what I thought it was, but I was like, didn't that already come out? Or maybe I'm thinking of The Unkillable Irishman, which I believe that came out. Maybe.
Well, that and like a solid Captain Marvel trailer, or you know, just oh crap. What was
Who
the
is
other-
Captain Marvel?
Like the
Carol
character or the actor?
The character.
Danvers. Carol Danvers. She's a
Uh,
fighter pilot.
was it the Kree? What's the name of that alien
Yeah,
race?
it's like a race of the Kree. Yeah.
So there's like the Kree, which were they the aliens in the first Avengers movie? Sort
I
of.
think they're related to it. Yeah, but they're
Anyways, it's like this race of like super mutant aliens. They're like really like war, so kind of like Klingons.
Okay.
But then they like can't reproduce for some reason. So then they have to like steal people and like inject their DNA into them in order to like keep their race going on.
Yeah.
Something like that. So she is like part of that experiment.
Oh, okay. She been around a while, or is that a new character?
It's been around
it's
a while, but it's like a new form of it.
it's a new form of it. Captain Marvel was originally a man, and it started back in like the 1950s. Because I have like the trade of like the first like 30 issues of that comic book. It's very bland and it's not very interesting. Because basically him trying to stop monsters from attacking a lava like science center or whatever. Because it's just the Kree in a space station or a spaceship above Earth monitoring us to see if they notice the Kree or whatever. But it's like Carol Danvers, as far as like a female Captain Marvel, has been around for a little while. It's been quite popular. She's a pretty good superhero.
Essentially, she's just Superman.
Okay.
Her powers are at least kind of
Superman
comparable
with,
to Superman.
with tits.
Super tits.
Like,
So Supergirl, no, bigger tits.
Name of the show. No.
I mean, Aquaman still looks like a pretty decent comic book movie from the last trailer, and then especially a really long cut trailer. So I don't know if they're trying to give people more of an honest impression of the movie, so they don't get bashed for misleading people. Or
I know they moved the new Wonder Woman movie back like a year or something. So that doesn't seem.
well, they
good.
haven't like changed directors or.
No,
reshots.
I think well, if you do that, it's usually because of reshoots, but because it basically like they're gonna lose, like they're gonna have to change Batman's and Superman's.
Yeah.
So it's like Gal Gadot's gonna be only like consistent one, and the was it Jason? What's his last name? Is it just Samoa?
Damn it.
Aquaman character?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think he's Samoan, but I don't think his last name's Samoa. I just,
No,
but
it's something else. I don't know.
Samoan dude.
That reminds me, Crown Jewel happened this week.
What's
you know the WWE's wrestling event that they did in Saudi Arabia?
Oh, how'd that go?
I mean,
It was the finishing move, the Strangler. And then for the fight, the coup de grace, the dismemberment.
US gay folks is okay.
Yeah.
well,
Crowd wild.
well, like also the week before they had the Evolution pay-per-view, which was the all-women's pay-per-view because none of the women could wrestle at Crown Jewel. So it's like, that was
Yeah.
a
2018, and there's still countries where could they wrestle
Well,
in burqas?
I don't know. I don't think so. But I mean, there's like I don't know like why they ruled against it or whether they're just like avoiding the thing. But the one caveat they had is like so now they have a woman on the commentary, so she was there working.
Yeah. Just heard her voice, but
But
didn't
was
see
she in her regular attire?
I don't know. I meant to go back and look at that. It's like is she but like in the crowd, like even in the last one they did, like there were like women in the crowd that didn't like weren't didn't have a whole get up on or anything like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a pretty weird show. I think they want to underplay it. They had Hulk Hogan host it because why the fuck not? It's like if you're just gonna double down on controversy, it's like let's just throw all the shit in here so that everybody can hate this, and then we'll just get back
They
to.
brought
There's
Chris,
so much to hate. They won't be able to focus in on any specific thing.
they also had a tribute to Chris Benoit.
Just gloss over the last week of his life. Everything else was. That would fucking amazing.
All donations went to child charities.
They had a pretty good. There was a pretty good spot. A spot is what you call it, basically like a, like a moment in the match where like it's basically a stunt, like whatever you did a move on another guy. That's a spot. So there was a spot during the Rey Mysterio Randy Orton match where Rey Mysterio is like a smaller guy, he's a smaller Mexican wrestler. He's like from San Diego or some shit, but he has Mexican tattooed across his stomach. So.
Okay.
Very subtle.
Branding.
He has a luchador mask too. So he gets on the top rope to do like a move, like he jumps off of it, and then Randy Orton just does a drop kick and just fucking kicks him out of the air.
That's always nice. The old air kick.
And so they had this event. They had this thing. It was like a tournament. It was like a mini tournament, like inside the tournament. So like the whole tournament happened inside the Crown Jewel thing. It was called the World Cup Wrestling Tournament. To determine who was the best in the world. I was like, isn't that the current heavyweight champion? Which there's a story to that too. That's weird and sad. And so they had the tournament, and then like one of the caveats. So like they had like the brands fighting against each other. So you had SmackDown guys versus the Raw guys.
Yeah.
And the SmackDown general manager, he said like if you get to whoever gets to the last or whoever gets to the finals and if you lose, I'm going to fire you. So they get to the last match, and the one guy is like gets injured somehow, and he can't continue. So then that guy, the general manager, just takes his spot, and then he wins the tournament without even having been a contestant in the tournament. And he takes a trophy and runs around like he actually accomplished something.
That's what I love the most about that. The wild twists.
And so then they also had Brock Lesnar there versus I forget his name.
My main question is, the crowds look any more excited than they did last year?
Yeah, a little bit. They actually like switched venues to a smaller venue because apparently ticket sales weren't that big. So yeah, like it seemed more excitable but they're still like it was some Saudi millionaire sitting up front being bored, but the crowd behind them was compressed inward more. So then there's like, oh, there's the people that actually enjoy the event. Why can't I remember his name? Anyways, so Roman Reigns, who was the Universal Champion, which is the champion for Raw. I think it's Universal Champion. So his leukemia came back, so he's not going to be wrestling until he is done with chemotherapy.
Huh.
Or fighting cancer, however you fight. I think do you do chemo? Yeah, well, whatever.
Well, you can do whatever.
So apparently he had this when he was 22, and so it came back. But yeah, like he went through so much shit because the company was trying to push him out there as being the guy, and then like a lot of people didn't want him. So it's like I'm pretty sure people literally wished cancer upon him, and then that happened.
Whoops.
So that's kind of sad. So then they had a vacant championship. So Brock Lesnar and Braun Strowman, that's his name, fought for the championship, and basically it's like people want to see Braun Strowman win the championship. And the thing about when Brock Lesnar, he's been the champion on and off the past couple of years, and basically because the way his deal works out with WWE, they basically give him millions of dollars, and all he has to do is show up for a pay-per-view, so he's not even there every week. He just shows up at a pay-per-view, so basically the title is never in jeopardy because you have to wait till a pay-per-view for that to happen. So he's never there, so people hate that, and so oh yeah, let's give it to a guy. And people love Braun Strowman. It's just a giant guy who's funny, and then murders people in the ring, and of course they have him lose.
Yeah.
And he doesn't even get a lick of offense in. He just gets his ass destroyed by Braun.
Egg. Yeah.
Well, the caveat they had too is they have the general manager for Raw was holding up the title. It's yeah, this is on the line, and then he starts to walk away, and then he hits Braun Strowman in the back of the head with the title because it's a massive thing that will injure somebody. And then he's start the match, and then it's supposed to be he was started the match dazed and confused, and then then Brock Lesnar just went and destroyed him. So yeah, it's funny. Why? Well, it seemed this seemed to be WWE's let's pull the emergency chute and just make everything in this whole event inconsequential. Yeah.
Oh.
So yeah, that happened. At least Evolution was pretty good.
Yeah.
They had a battle royale, and they had what do you call it? A suplex. So a suplex, it's kind of you get each other in a headlock, and then one person lifts the other person and slams them back. So like that. So so sometimes there's part where two people will grab somebody, and then they'll suplex them together, and then it's I'll be extra powerful, or then the other person will reverse it, and then one person suplexes the other two people. Here they had 4 people in a chain, and they all suplexed each other.
Quadruple suplex.
Yeah, well, yeah, it was fucking ridiculous. There's one part where what the fuck happened? Somebody was diving for somebody else, and then somebody did a baseball slide and kicked him into the fucking ring post. So that's pretty good. There's probably the best matches were the NXT matches. So. But anyways, so that's boring wrestling talk.
Oh no, I'm interested. The only way I know about it is through you.
Well, they launched their UK brand, so they got NXT UK out there now.
Oh, okay. Is that popular over there?
Yeah, well, like I said, I'm not sure if they. I think one of the reasons they did it there is because if they're gonna recruit internationally, let's send them to London rather than Florida.
Yeah, probably safer.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not as many wrestlers killed by gators there. That's for sure.
Death by Florida. That's a thing. Is there something called the Florida Syndrome? I don't know.
It's just called you move to Florida and your IQ becomes 20 points lower. It's something
It's like someone sticks an ice pick in your frontal cortex.
Oh, yeah, we should probably talk about Solo before we forget about Solo.
Oh.
Yeah, talk about it.
So Mario Van Peebles. But yeah, so I don't know, Nathan. What are your questions about Solo, or have you seen it yet?
I haven't seen it. Is it worth watching?
Yeah, it's enjoyable.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
I don't know. Andrew seemed to really like it enough to like. I'm gonna get the Blu-ray.
I had no expectations for it, and
Yeah.
I thought the film was good. I mean, is it like a cinematic masterpiece people will be talking about for years? No, but is it something?
Star Wars that rose to that?
Is it a good story? No.
Well, it's one you're going to be pretty much familiar with. Like, oh, how do they possibly get it? Like, oh yeah, duh, Han Solo comes out of this, and so does Lando, and so does everybody else.
Basically, it's like if you just had a general FAQ for like, how did Han Solo what and what? Basically, this movie just goes through the checklists.
Oh, okay.
How did he get that gun? Here it is. How did he get his name? Here it is. Where did he learn to shoot first? Here it is.
Does it talk about the origins of the Millennium Falcon any?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, in as much as that Lando owned it and he won it in a poker game or a whatever that card game is from. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much.
I mean,
Was Woody Harrelson an interesting part of the movie?
Yeah, he's probably the best actor in the movie.
yeah, I like his character.
And then I heard like originally when Lord and Miller were making the movie that they hired an acting coach for the main guy. It's like, oh shit, it's like, is he really that bad? And it's like he was fine, but like he's supposed to be like young and brash and like, you know, kind of green, so like he plays that fine, but like, is he Harrison Ford? No.
Harrison Ford's kind of unique. That's why he's still acting at 105.
Well, I know. I mean, I thought all the locations chosen, like, people complain about how dark the movie is as far as like actual lighting.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And
yeah.
stuff like that. Yes, it is dark, but I actually like all the location set pieces. Like the train ice is well done. I like all the Kashyyyk stuff, or not Kashyyyk, the mud planet they're on at the first part. I can't remember the name of it.
Yeah.
Because supposedly that's like a famous battle that happens in the Star Wars universe that I didn't really know anything about before that. But then it's goes that and then to the spice mines on Kessel, and it's something. It was like I don't think anybody's really showed Kessel in a movie or Star Wars media thing for ever or a while. I don't know. Cause I've read plenty of Star Wars books that mentions Kessel, and it's hard to picture the whole like, hey, it's a crime syndicate that runs a huge mine on this planet and escape's impossible. And it's also dangerous as shit to mine there. And,
Yeah, it's space meth.
yeah, so I mean, I think they did like a good job. It feels like they kind of wanted to copy the Lando's robot, whatever her name was. I can't remember.
Yeah.
Like that was kind of like, oh yeah, the Rogue One had a really cool robot that kind of was like a dick to everybody and kind of did his own thing. It's like, let's copy that and put it in a female voice this time.
Well, I'm kind of wondering because like they just basically wrote her out of the part, and I was wondering is like, did Lord and Miller have that kill character, and then when Ron Howard came on, did they just like cut her character entirely?
Well, I know the train heist was totally redone.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
that's the only thing I ever really heard about the difference between.
Well, I'm trying to like, because that's like what I was watching for is like, okay, what's Ron Howard and what's Lord and Miller, and like, I'm kind of like when it's weird, so like when they do like the poker scene, I'm like guessing that's like Lord and Miller because that's where it's like it's just kind of weird,
Yeah.
and like he's drinking that weird milk and stuff, and
Well, same thing with like the prison breakouts or the mine breakout scene where just like the robots are having a revolution.
yeah,
It's just like it's awesome or whatever, and then it's like I don't think that was really Ron Howard. Like I don't think he really has.
and then I think like maybe the opening because like there's that weird gang with like a centipede lady or whatever and stuff like that. Like that stuff's pretty weird. So I'm like, I want to guess that that's Lord and Miller. Whenever it's weird, I'm gonna say it's Lord and Miller, and then when it's pretty conventional, I'm gonna say that's Ron Howard. That's like my guess. But then like I saw some of the behind the scenes stuff afterwards. And it's like Ron Howard interviewing the cast, and it's like, so when did you hear the news that you were going to be playing this like, iconic character? It's like, oh, I couldn't tell anybody, but I accidentally told my uncle. And it's like, fuck you, I don't care about any of this shit. What did they shoot? And what did you shoot?
Oh, I'm sure there's something they signed that Disney doesn't allow
Oh,
them to talk
yeah.
about that or some bullshit. So
And then like people keep talking about like what a horrible bomb this was for them, but it still made like $300 million domestically. So I don't.
what? Just because it didn't hit the billion mark, I'm pretty sure is why it's a bomb.
Yeah, it's still like the 5th highest grossing movie this year. And but it's like it's a bomb because like they canceled all this. Well, I'm not sure if the Boba Fett movie got canceled before because of this, or if it got canceled because they're doing that Mandalorian show, or and I'm not sure if they're canceling Ryan Johnson's trilogy. That just kind of seems to be on hold, but yeah.
What's Ryan Johnson's trilogy supposed to be?
He was just supposed to have like a 3-picture deal that takes place in the Star Wars universe.
Because I know they had a Rogue Squadron and a Wedge Antilles movie lined up, and I don't know which one was supposed to be his.
This was like like the at the end of Last Jedi, we have like the kid with the powers and shit.
Yeah.
I think that was supposed to be the lead into like whatever his trilogy was going to be.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I think Disney's just expecting way too much. I mean, they put out how many comic movies, Star Wars movies, and within a set amount of time, people are going to get fatigued, and also at the same time, nobody.
Well,
has...
see, their Marvel brand seems to be moving along just fine, but their Star Wars brand is now just taking a hit, though. So.
Yeah, but
Only so much J.J. Abrams to go around.
well, it's not so much that. It's just that everybody's consensus of the newer Star Wars movies is, like, yeah, they're fine, but they're not good. They're not what people wanted, I guess, or they're not.
Well, no, because Force Awakens, what everybody wanted, like, oh, you're just remaking the first Star Wars, and then well, I wouldn't say everybody. Lots of people hated The Last Jedi because it completely subverts all your expectations of what a Star Wars movie is, which is why I loved it. I mean, you just got to cut out that whole fucking casino scene where they're riding around on shit. You cut that out of the movie, and like it's a pretty okay movie.
Yeah, I liked The Force Awakens, and I liked Rogue One. Everything else, well, I watched the last.
It's just
Jedi.
Last Jedi.
I was like, okay. It didn't like horrify me, and I didn't think that it was going to turn me gay or whatever the internet thought, but it's like, okay, well, it wasn't as good as The Force Awakens, but it was okay.
No, okay. Well, on a comparison, like I'd say, like it's better than The Force Awakens because it actually has it. It actually tries to. I'm not sure if tell a story is the right thing, but like Force Awakens, like it's just full of fan service. It's like let's just recreate moments and have little twists on them.
Absolutely, because it's been a long fucking desert between the last good Star Wars movie and The Force Awakens. So that's why I think The Force Awakens, it met my expectations. They weren't subverted.
Yeah.
Jedi was just kind of creative but weird.
Yeah. But also, like, I love like there's a lot of great imagery I liked in Last Jedi, and then I liked how they just basically took all this stuff, all your expectations coming off of Force Awakens, and it's literally thrown away when fucking Luke takes that lightsaber and just tosses it the fuck away. It's like, all these things you wanted were like Luke's gonna be a badass. Fuck that shit.
And then just start sucking the sea monster's tit down by the shore.
Yeah. They need to make more stuff like Rogue One. It's that bleak, hopeless, and they need to make it in the original Gareth Edwards vision. Just bleak and hopeless.
Should they just do like a standalone like Hoth battle movie where it's just like the infantry on the ground's perspective? I mean, because literally, like, yeah, you got the up moment of Luke taking down one of the AT-ATs with his snowspeeder, and then you have, just like bleak hopelessness of like, well, fuck, we got like submachine guns against giant fucking tanks. How the hell is this supposed to work? And then, I mean, yeah, you kind of see the whole battle in the movie, but maybe you could have a lead up and kind of like an after, because you see the evacuation, but obviously not everybody gets off planet and stuff like that, so I don't know. They have like a Hoth Resistance movie.
Nah.
Snow Taliban. No. Okay,
We're not gonna do
Ewoks.
another Star Trek movie, I
Oh.
don't know if we are or not.
Well, one's getting made. I just don't know what the fuck it is. I'm not sure what cast is gonna be in there.
Well, it's everyone but Captain Kirk. So.
Yeah.
And Captain Kirk and Thor aren't going to be in it, but everyone else is going to be in it.
I don't know why Chris Pine would say no. It's not like he has anything else going on.
Because they was like for less money than he made on the last two, and there was a multi deal, and he was just like, no,
No.
I'm doing other things.
Because like each Star Trek movie has made less each time,
No.
so they're like, it's like, all right, we're not gonna make these movies because they've proven to like not grow.
Well,
So-
I mean, I could see why everybody else in the cast would come back. I mean, Simon Pegg gets decent roles and decent recognition, and then, damn, what's her name? It was an Avatar, and
Zoe or Zaldana.
yeah,
what's her
like
name?
she's pretty decently, popular. Guardians of the Galaxy and Avatar and Star Trek, so she's got some pretty big pull as far as salary and stuff. But other than that, like I can't. Besides Zachary Quinto, like who else is really in that movie or those movies?
His name John Cho. I can't remember the Asian guy.
Oh, Carl Urban is also.
Carl Urban, yeah.
I forgot about him.
They need to make another Dread movie with him.
Yeah, I wish they would. He said he's up for anything, but I don't think
Yeah,
Bob
yeah.
remade.
Making money on that.
Yeah.
They didn't spend a lot of money. They didn't make a lot of money.
Even
Great.
keel.
Yeah, it was a great movie,
Yep.
but just not. Yeah, wasn't going to bring the kiddos in. Judge Dredd action figures.
Watch Judge Dredd feed this lady drugs as she dies horribly. in
If
slow
only you would have
motion.
said, "I am the law," as he pushed her off the ledge, that would have made all the money back.
Yeah,
Yeah.
watch Dredd kill Queen Cersei. What?
You just it's just photo edit Joffrey at the end of on the floor and he gets crushed by Cersei. She falls on.
For a moment they're kissing, it's like, ooh, incest, and they're just smashing in blood.
This is a weird tie-in.
I don't know why people wouldn't. I mean, obviously, Dredd's been a huge cult following film. I know that always doesn't translate into huge box office receipts or anything like that, or huge ratings, but I can't believe like somebody hasn't picked up the rights to it.
Oh, somebody has the rights to it. It's just nobody's willing to put money up to make another production of it.
No one's willing to put $100 million into an hard R-rated, ultra-violent future cop movie.
Yeah, but I mean,
It's unfortunate.
Deadpool's proven hard R can work. Venom really should have been R if it really wanted to be
Well,
a
see,
Venom movie.
the thing is now Dredd has a track record. Whereas, like, yeah, Deadpool came out and became the biggest R-rated movie ever. It's like Judge Dredd doesn't have that track record. It can't just ride its coattails. It has a track record.
No, and I don't want it to be like a copycat or just be writing.
But I don't want to
new
wait.
trend, but
We'll have to wait till like because like even the John Wick movies, like they're really popular, but like they don't make a whole lot of money at the box office.
Oh, I thought the first one made decent money.
I mean, they make like $120 million, but then they're like $40 million productions, but like that's not a whole lot. I mean, especially like you double that, you got $80 million, or you got you double that because like whatever the movie costs, you double that, and that's like how much they spend on advertising. It's like,
I guess John Wick makes a lot of DVD sales though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like one of those movies that still holds that torch. People always buy that.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, there's a lot of stuff where it's like, just because a movie, like, how does this movie that doesn't make a whole lot at the box office get all these sequels? And it's like, oh, it makes a lot of the DVD sales or video on demand sales where people just find it and it's like, oh, this is a good movie.
Yeah, because that was going to be the other question. How much was Dredd? How much has that really made in like home video sales and streaming prices and shit like that?
Look it up.
Not enough to justify more Dredd.
My favorite movie the year it came out.
Like 2013 or 2012. All right, I saw it at the schoolhouse when I was in the Marines.
All I know is I saw the trailer for it and I was instantly like, yes, this is going to be an awesome Dredd movie. And then it was a good Dredd movie, just not financially successful.
I think I can't remember when I heard I heard Patton Oswalt like tweet about it. It's like, you got to see this movie, and it's like, all right, Patton Oswalt, I'll see this movie.
$30 million production budget plus $15 million advertising made $41 million.
It only took a $4 million loss. That's not that bad.
Well, there was a lot of what was the funding, because it was half funded in South African kroner or whatever their currency is.
Yeah.
Their currency took a big dive the year it came out, so that actually like bumped up the cost. It was a UK South Africa movie.
What was it? $41 million total with international take, or is it 41 just one?
Mojo here says 41.5 million total.
Okay.
Oh,
Doesn't-
Jesus.
DVD sales or anything. That's just box
Yeah.
office. So I don't know, but like I said, a lot of that it says right here. There's like an asterisk, like this got inflated due to the South African currency crisis and how because it was all filmed in Johannesburg, so all they had to do was CG tall buildings in. The rest of the hellscape was
Well, I remember that's why I hate the Halo movie when it was still gonna happen was gonna take place there because it's the same thing as District 9 and stuff like that. It's just a perfect shantytown hellscape of nightmares. To
Well,
film
and the
with.
dude just lives there, so.
everyone lives there. So. Yeah, I don't think there was an American actress or actor or actress in Dread. I think it was all people from UK and South Africa and Australia. Because where's Carl Urban from? He's New Zealand, Australia, something like that?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, I thought it was Australia. I thought.
It's all the same.
Fucking Kiwis.
But no, I'm sure it's made like at least what it made for theatrical and home video sales and streaming.
Well, I also just don't know who holds the rights to it, because there's always like things where if whatever company holds the rights to it, if they aren't interested in making it, or if something else fills whatever slot that would work in, and like then it'll just never get made, or if somebody's at the top like, yeah, we want to get this done, and then they get fired, and then something that never gets done anymore.
Well, because I've been reading the hobby shop I go to. He did sell comics for a while, and I bought some issues of Judge Dredd that people ordered and never paid for. But it's like literally the plot from the issues I bought was pretty interesting because it was just like Judges of the Apocalypse. So it's like Judge Death and Judge Pox and Judge like all these judges are converging on like, oh, we gotta kill him. It's like, no, he'll just look at you and you'll fucking die. Like, get the fuck out of here. It's just Judge Dredd like kicking everybody's ass again somehow and fucking. It's just, I mean, it's still the same. I mean, badass like no nonsense bullshit like Carl Urban brought to that role, where it's not the stupid Sylvester Stallone like, okay, Officer Hershey, let's go in here.
Him and Armand Asante are brothers.
Yeah.
There's that weird robot with the
And then,
knuckle guns.
Fucking what's his name? Adam Sandler's
Rob Schneider.
Rob Schneider's comedic relief. I mean, not that there wasn't comedy in the next Judge Dredd movie, but it wasn't a character's job.
I also like that
Comedic relief.
Carl Urban like decided that like if he plays Judge Dredd, he'll never take that helmet off. He'll
Yeah,
only
that's-
be seen with that helmet.
That's the way it should be in the comic books. The ones I mean, especially the ones I've read.
So maybe that doesn't help. It's like, we've got Carl Urban, and you only see the lower half of his face.
Grim jawline.
That's enough to
It looks
jerk
like Amazon, or not Amazon, Netflix might do a Judge Dredd series with Carl Urban called Dredd Mega City 1 with the same writers and producers, but that was
Yeah, I've heard talks about that.
talk and nothing else.
Well, Carl Urban's already doing another show right now, so he's busy.
Yeah.
He's doing the, was it The Boys show for FX?
Oh,
It's the comic book where about like the it's like a underground group of like CIA guys that like keep superheroes in check by like beating the shit out of them or murdering them.
Speaking of shows like that, whatever happened to that one show with the guy from like District 9 and stuff where he was like a cop that policed superpowers and stuff like that? Wasn't it like Supers or something like that, or Powers? I can't remember what the hell it was called.
Well, there was Powers, but that was that Sony thing.
Well, I know there's at least 2 seasons of it, but
Yeah,
like I don't think it ever happened. Anything happened after that, unless it was a
no,
miniseries.
but that didn't have a super cop in it, so I'm not sure.
Well, not super cop, but just cops that were meant to police superheroes and stuff like that.
Oh,
And there's only like the
yeah. I think it's called Powers. Yeah, I don't think that got. Oh wait, no. Yeah, I thought it was gonna be an FX show, but yeah, it ended up on Sony. It's like Sony owns it. It's like you can only watch it on their,
yeah.
like on fucking the PlayStation Network or something like that.
Yeah, that's the only reason I was able to watch it. I think for a little while it was on Amazon for a second, and then
Yeah, I think they only got 2 seasons and they canceled it. And up next is Sex Criminals, which I haven't watched, or I haven't read. I hear good things, and it's always a strange fucking. It's like, why is this thing called Sex Criminals?
I watched a couple episodes of that Julia Roberts Amazon thing.
Oh, is that out now? Okay. How's
Yeah.
that?
It's strange. It's good. It's got some good writing, but you don't know what's going on. And the episodes are only anywhere from 25 to 30 minutes long, and they just end. Like people talking, like they'll be talking about something. Like this one guy from the Defense Department was talking to Julia Roberts about, like, basically, like, what the hell did you guys do to these people? And it's told through. It has that unreliable narration thing where some people seem to have some kind of PTSD, and then other people just, like Julia Roberts, just have amnesia about what they were doing. And she's like, that's years ago, I don't remember. And the guy's like, you know what's going on? I mean, why are you here? Why are you a waitress in a restaurant? And then all of a sudden the credit starts rolling and she walks away. And it's like, oh, this is an odd, like, way to end the show, because it's silent credits. There's no, like, music or anything.
Is this like the things that, like, Mr. Robot, like we said, like, where it can get away with shit that would seem like, if anybody else did it, would seem like amateurish?
Yeah, kind of. Well, yeah, because the thing is, like, some of the writers and producers and directors on this are from Mr. Robot.
Yeah.
And the other people are from This American Life.
Okay.
Like Alex Bloomberg is the producer and one of the writers on this, and then some people from Mr. Robot are. The guy who did most of Mr. Robot is the director of all these episodes.
Huh.
But these episodes, like I said, they're 25 or 30 minutes. These are not like hour-long episodes.
How many episodes are there?
10?
Huh.
Yeah, it's kind of
weird.
I watched 3 of them, and it's single camera, which is sort of interesting. Like, it's because there's a lot of, like, close in, there's a lot of dialogue, and people.
I mean, like single take, or just a single camera show?
Single camera show.
Okay.
So it has that look to it of, like, you're just kind of following people, and yeah, it's kind of interesting. I mean, I have no idea what's going on, because it's Julia Roberts being, like, her usual oblique actress self, where it's like, this is where I am and this is what I'm doing, and everyone else is kind of like, no, do you know what's going on? I'm just here to take care of my mom. I don't know anything about that place. I worked there years ago. It wasn't a good fit for me. And then there's, like, weird conversations going on over the phone with people, like her manager, and then he's talking to other people, and then it goes over to him, and it looks like somebody burnt a warehouse down. Like, this place is completely wasted, and he's talking like, yeah, we got to ship this stuff to America. We got to get these results in for the Defense Department about this program. And this place looks like it's been burnt to the ground that he's at. But it's like he's not really talking about what you're seeing. So, I mean, there's all kinds of weird, deceptive stuff here.
Huh.
But like I said, the thing where she's talking to the guy and then it just cuts to credits and she walks away and he's standing there and the credits are rolling and the camera moves out and it just shows the restaurant, but it's no music, completely still. You just hear the birds calling and then the wind. This is a weird. This kind of just stops and starts. In a weird
You should probably watch You Were Never Really There.
Yeah. Well, I've seen the 3 seasons of Mr. Robot, so.
I don't think I've seen the 3rd season yet. I think I started watching it, like, when it was on network, and then I got busy doing other things.
Yeah.
Forgot to go back.
Watched all kinds of things. But speaking of which, we watched a movie this week.
Yep, Sorority Girl 6.
Oh, was it Sorority Girls? I thought it was Beach Blanket Gangbang.
Bleach Blanket Bang Bang Bang.
Bleach Bunny Orgy Twat Massage.
Grandpa Goes to Pound Town. That's what we watched this week. And
Hollywood Hot Tubs.
Tornado Orgy Rim
People we
Job.
find attractive in Hollywood.
Yeah. Tomato Soup Enema.
Kentucky Fried Chicken Lube Bucket.
Press. I actually watched the 1968 classic independent horror film Night of the Living Dead, directed by George Romero and acted and filmed by all the same people. This was a movie I hadn't seen in a while, Then when I watch, and you can watch this movie anywhere. I didn't realize this was a public domain movie.
Oh, was it? Okay.
Oh yeah, was from the day it started. Yeah, you can watch. There's like 15 versions of it on YouTube, but I watched it on soon to be defunct Filmstruck because it had the director cast commentary.
Yeah.
Which was actually funny because all these people were like, "I don't remember any of this. We did that," and then George Romero was talking about stuff. But this was a weird. I forgot how strange this movie was until I watched it, and it's like, oh, it's a lot of exposition. A lot of exposition.
Yeah.
Every time we meet a character, we're gonna sit here and talk for 10 minutes about my backstory. We're not gonna like show your backstory. We're just gonna talk to each other about your backstory, which is I know how you save money on movies, is you just fill it with dialogue. But it had it was a funny movie to watch. It's like they'll never make anything like this again.
What in what ways do you mean?
Well, like I said, the long dialogue. Of course, there was some stilted acting, a lot of stilted acting.
Yeah.
And then there was characters like Barbara, who was there with her brother at the cemetery in the beginning. First zombie runs to the house, and then just kind of sits on the couch 75% of the movie, and then comes back, back as a character again to do a few things. I mean, the good actor in the film was the main guy, Ben. And I didn't realize a lot of these people never acted again, never did anything after this.
What I thought was interesting is I didn't know that like Romero and like the whole gang were like industrials guys.
Yeah.
So this is like a similar story to the Carnival of Souls guy, where it's like, yeah, we make industrials, now we want to make a movie.
Make safety films and how to run the lathe movies, and then we're gonna get together and make our own movie.
And also they're talking about like how like working in industrials you had to like be really detail oriented, and they said something like or else they wouldn't buy your movie. I was like, are they fucking like shooting safety videos on spec?
Yep. One time they were. We gotta remember the thing. You gotta remember the thing about industrial safety videos, because I've seen a lot of them in my day. The older ones actually had to be somewhat engaging and informative, because you didn't want people to get crushed by the drill press or whatever. The newer ones that they make now, they're just there for lawsuit protection. They're just like, well, hey, we showed him the video. So, his head crushed in a press. That's not on us. We showed him the video.
It just said to lift with your back straight, so he should have known not to get crushed by that drill press.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, there's industrial films have changed a lot. Safety films. They used to try to have stories and be entertaining. Now they're just like some lawyer standing there saying, you have to do this, you have to do that, and please fill out your form at the end of this essay so you can't sue us.
Yeah, that what was that one, the one with like the excavator and stuff like that by the
guy. Yeah, the guy, yeah, it was one of the last ones.
Or Shake Hands with Danger.
Yes.
They had a theme song.
Country kind of a
they had that one effect they did where like the guy, or like they're trying to put like the plow back on the thing, and like it says, it's like, ah, fuck it, I'll just grease up my arm and put my arm through here, and they had the effect of like his arm being eviscerated. It's like, that's pretty good.
Chop that sucker off. Kind of Outland style, his arm just explodes. Yeah, that's what happens if you stick your arm in there.
I like when the guy just like falls off the excavator because he slips, and they just nobody helps him. He's just fucking dead on the ground, and they just hold the shot on him for like 5 minutes.
Yeah, and all the other guys are just kind of standing there.
I'll show it to you. I got a whole season of.
I can already imagine the theme song is like, shake hands with danger, you might lose your hand.
Yeah, there's like a shake hands with 3-Finger Joe.
It kind of has more of a country western vibe, but yeah.
But anyways, yeah, it was the Carnival of Souls guy. He directed Industrials. That was like probably the big one that Nathan found. They did a riff tracks. I'll show it to you later on. But when the Carnival was 64 or was that 63? And Carnival of Souls came out.
63, I think.
So it's kind of like this indie horror movie that they did that basically just got completely forgotten, and kind of came back in the late 80s. and like David Lynch said it was like an inspiration for him. It's not like you watch it and it's like you don't really see. Also, like I think George Romero said it was like some of an inspiration, but like that you see like just a cheap horror movie, like it's the inspiration. Interestingly enough, like they refer to the ghouls or whatever in Carnival of Souls. They refer to them as ghouls. Also in the commentary track, they refer to the zombies as ghouls. So like they never. So like they always make that thing like, oh, they never call them zombies. And it's like, yeah, well they call them ghouls. Which I guess I don't know when the term zombies really gets popular a lot, because it's like it's been around, because either they're talking about like but yeah, this is the first incarnation of flesh-eating zombies. So.
Yes.
So I'm not sure what zombies meant before then, just other than just like reanimated corpses.
Yeah, I think they were like dead people that came back to life, but they were more there to torment you. They didn't have like a I don't know, underlying
hunger.
Yes.
I like how things set on fire in this movie go out really fast, or don't seem to have any flames ever.
Almost like they don't have a safety crew.
Yeah, it's almost like they're just guerrilla filming. I like how they said like the house was about to be demolished. That's why they got to use it.
Yeah.
And you can fuck it up inside. We don't care. And they bought all the furniture from a warehouse place that wanted to sell the warehouse, and they didn't want the furniture and shit in there, so they just gave them all the set furniture.
Okay.
And there was a lot of like cost saves in this movie, of course.
Like if you look at the boards, they boarded up. There's like writing on it for continuity, so they knew where to put each board every time they like would dismantle it and put it back together. So if you look for it, it's like this is where this board goes.
Well, and it's funny because in this movie, Ben, there's a lot of filming of his very meticulous and resourceful nature, and it actually shows him building a barricade, not in a montage, but actually building the fucking barricade. Several times, there's a lot of shots of these people building and working on things while they're talking, or just that's the whole shot is them, and then he like sits down on the couch. It's like time for a cigarette. They commented on that I never even thought about when I watched this movie the first time, and tonight it's like, oh yeah, the lead actor is a black dude in 1968, and not only is he a black dude, he's the smartest guy in the cast. He slaps people around and fights with white dudes. Never even mentioned. It's just like, yeah.
Well, yeah, like they talk about how like that wasn't necessarily the point. Like it wasn't, why he's. They don't like bring that up because it's just not in the script.
Right. It's of all the talking that goes on, all of the other people in the movie are white in the 60s, and no one says, hey, what about this? Why is this guy? This isn't part of the God's plan or whatever they believed back then.
But also, like they said, like for their industrials, like they hired a multiracial, but like they hired, so this wasn't like a big deal for them to hire a black guy to be in their movie. They just like he was the best actor for the part, and that's why they hired him. And like he actually changed the part because he's written more as like a tough guy, like and more like forceful and like and in charge. And then like what he brought to it is like he brought like fear and a general rationality to the role that wasn't necessarily there.
Yeah, it's how would you really react to this? It's like, I'm gonna wade into a crowd of zombies with an axe. Like, no, nobody's doing that. We're gonna pull ourselves up. The basement is death. Because they actually talk in the movie like, what's the best plan? Like, there's no group cohesion in this. It's like, gonna argue about it. Some people's gonna be swinging a hammer here. Somebody's taking their kid to the basement. And then it had
a tornado hit that graveyard in the opening scene.
Yes.
Like I don't think they got any of that kind of production value on film, but they just talked about how like a tornado hit that graveyard and sucked dead people out of the ground.
Yes. I think it was how long before they started filming there did that happen?
I'm not sure, because I'm not sure if they like. Because I want to say like something that happened where like they were filming there once and then the tornado happened and they filmed there again, but I'm not exactly sure if that's how.
Yeah, I know there was something weird about that. And this movie had the news breaks all the time. It was either radio or TV, TV breaks, which Dawn of the Dead did that a lot too. It was kind of a connection to that. But yeah, that was. They just had people filming and talking, and they had like generals, and they you know, when they filmed that scene they filmed where the generals and the scientists were getting in the limousine, and that was actually in Washington D.C.
Yeah.
They just showed up with cameras. They didn't have a permit or anything. They were just like, okay, we're gonna follow these guys. We got this car waiting here, and the guy, the soldier that's waiting to open the door for these guys, well, he's like one of the production people, and it's just all kinds of stuff was going on, and they had it was really hard to get a permit to film in Washington, I guess.
Yeah.
But see, they just showed up and act like they were a news crew or something and filmed this scene. It was a quick scene, but it was funny because it's like, oh, this is actually in Washington D.C. They're not like filming it in Pittsburgh trying to make it stand in for Washington or something. Yeah, this movie was very talkative, and then had some pretty gory violence for its time and for the budget they were dealing with.
Yeah.
When the lady gets caught in the truck, and I still like the firing the rifle at the locked gas. Get the hose off. It's like, well, you're not dancing with death there. And then the two people burn up in the truck anyway, and the zombies eat them like barbecue. I like how the zombies like walk up to the truck, find the corpses, and like each take a piece, like they're in a line.
Oh, it's a buffet. It's a Sunday brunch at church. Just
chewing on the bones and sucking the meat off, and they have that corpse in the basement, which was, yeah, I mean, it wasn't like awesome special effects. The thing I liked about this movie a lot, though, was this kind of the weird discordant soundtrack. There'd be like because this is really like a light and dark, black and white movie. There's a lot of dark and light contrasting scenes, but then like he's making torches or he's doing something, and then a weird like woo 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 woo, like a theremin sound would come into it randomly, and then he's running.
Well, I'm not sure like necessarily who did the soundtrack, but the guy in the commentary talks about mixing it, and like he said he mixed it completely blind. Like he wasn't blind, he just didn't have like
a copy of the movie in front of him.
Yeah. But like he had things to tell him where scenes were at, but like he couldn't see the scene, and he was just mixing towards those general areas. Like, this is this scene.
Okay, that would explain kind of the weird things that come in.
But that was a sound mix, which might be different. I'm not sure if the sound mixer mixes in like, special or sound effects and the soundtrack at the same time, or I'm not sure when that happens. But being how like everybody had like quadruple roles in this movie.
Yeah, sound mixer and Zombie 3.
I mean, George Romero is a zombie who got set on fire, and he's just walking around on fire out there.
Yeah, the zombies being afraid of fire. Is that kind of unique to this picture, or I didn't, because I don't remember seeing that in anything else.
Yeah, usually zombies it's usually the extra fear of zombies. They aren't afraid of anything.
Yeah, because these guys you like.
Maybe it's because you have an amateur actor trying to with fire around, and they're just actually fearful.
Well, that you don't see a lot of zombies doing stuff like picking up rocks and throwing it through windows and shit too. Or
these were tool using zombies too. Yeah, that was kind of because the one guy busts a rock through the window to get at the girl. Mom gets stabbed to death with a garden spade. Yeah, these were like tool users. It's like when the monkeys use the stick it in the ant hive and then eat the ants off of it. That freaks us out. It's like, well, we're not much different from them, and we make nuclear reactors. So if the ants on a stick bother you, just look in the mirror. It gets weirder. Yeah. This is definitely a movie of its time.
Yeah, Andrew's saying like he didn't really like this movie, and I was like, this is one of those movies where it's like stuff comes from this movie.
Yeah, it's a 60s movie, and it's obviously a 60s movie.
But yeah, Andrew, you explain how you didn't really like this movie.
No,
or what's your history of this movie? Like, have you seen this before, or you just kind of knew about it?
I've seen his other movies before this one.
Yeah.
I've seen pieces of Night of the Living Dead, but I've never seen the whole thing.
Okay.
It's probably been since high school since I've seen any fragments of this film. And around then, that would have been my first zombie movie anyway, so I think it held up better then. But also, this movie is 50 years old now. So it's, I mean, I'm fine with the acting the way it is. You weren't for this low budget, you weren't going to get great special effects, wonderful acting, wonderful writing, wonderful cinematography, and just like an A-caliber movie. That was not going to happen. It's a good movie for the budget, the time period, and what you had to work with.
Yeah.
And obviously, like Hans said, stuff comes from it, influenced a lot of people, and that's why, because like the beginning of the movie, it's like, oh, this is in the Modern Art Museum's collection and stuff like that. Like, this is, you know, an important piece of cinema history, and it is. But I fucking hated most of the characters. And you could tell, like, I was just more annoyed by all the women characters, because they're all very much useless on a different level. Because Barbara is just, like, catatonic and weird for 75% of the film. And it's just, like you said, she sat on the couch and did, like, almost nothing. Basically, or said like, John's keys are in his pocket, and then just sat there on the couch. And then the guy's girlfriend, that like, I was fine with her going out and running after him, kind of like, oh, what do I do? Do I help? Because I feel like I need help. And that was more a realistic moment. But then as soon as she stays in the truck, and then you can barely hear her, she says it before the truck blows up, but it's just like her saying, my jacket's stuck. and then the truck blows up, or the mom that like helplessly gets stabbed to death with a garden spade because she can't possibly stop her child, or not child anymore, but you know, whatever. I mean,
Slow movie zombie child.
Well, I like the amateur hillbilly militia and the like the zombie hunters.
Yeah, I like that part.
That was kind of funny.
And probably a shocking ending where it just shoots the main
protagonist.
Just so, you know, a country bumpkin white guy shooting a black guy. That's, and apparently the audience is like the guy who like actually shot Ben. Like I guess he was like at the premiere and he had to like hide away like towards the end because like people are gonna like try to kill him.
Black theater where they released it.
Yeah.
Black audience. And they were like finally had their guy. Like you know, ever since Reconstruction, we finally have our guy, hero of this movie, and then the white cracker sounding dude shoots him.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Am I allowed to say cracker?
Saltine.
Yeah.
Like, no, I mean,
to be an insult, but yeah, go ahead.
I mean, everything else was good though. I was actually kind of impressed by some of the special effects where it's like, oh, I wonder how they did that back then in 67, 68 when they were doing this film, where you have the gun go off, but then like almost like a modern day squib come out the back of somebody's head at the same time.
This movie was the 4th movie to use squibs.
Oh, okay.
Huh.
Remote control. Yeah, detonated squibs.
I guess I didn't know that existed at that time, so I thought maybe it was just like a string attached to like a loose piece of like.
Well, now it would look like a nano machine with a probe on it. Back then, they were actually had to like tape it to your body with duct tape and have wires running to something. So yeah, they weren't widely used back then, but they were around.
And then I just looked it up. Like, 1968 was kind of a banger year for movies because like I wouldn't like necessarily think of like I wasn't reminded of any movies. Then I looked it up and I was like, holy shit, there's a lot of movies in 1968.
Yeah.
Because you got 2001: A Space Odyssey.
Yep.
Rosemary's Baby. Barbarella.
Oh, that was a great one.
Planet of the Apes. Chitty Chitty Bang Bang.
I guess I thought that was earlier in 1968.
Hang 'em High. You got Bullet.
Yeah.
Where Eagles Dare.
That's a cool one.
The Thomas Crown Affair. I never watched either movies. I just know there's that remake. You got The Odd Couple.
That was 68?
Yep.
Huh.
You got Yellow Submarine. And that's probably like the end of what I recognize.
Yeah. You know, a movie of this era that always surprises me how old it is was the Manchurian Candidate
Yeah.
with Frank Sinatra. It's like that was 62.
Huh.
That seems like a much. If you told me that came out in the 70s, I've been like, yeah, okay,
Well, Strangelove is 64.
yeah.
That's probably as far back as I can go to a comedy that I would still like. Because you go back to like comedies of that era and they don't age well.
No, it's different kind of comedy.
It's like, was this ever funny or is it just me?
The laugh track that makes it funny.
Well, I mean, it's also a different era, so I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, different norms. I mean, can you imagine a comedy? Like, imagine if they tried to reshoot, like, There's Something About Mary for 1950s standard. Movie would get made. Like, how do we put sperm in a guy's hair but get around the Legion of Decency or something? Like, you never could do it. But yeah, this was a groundbreaking film in a lot of ways.
Oh, then Andrew also mentioned like how they reuse shots, and he thought like, oh, they're just being cheap, and I was like, well, there's a reason for that. Like, there was a flood, and they like lost like half their film stock.
Yes. 80% of the budget of this movie was film stock. When they say they spent $100,000 on this movie, really they spent like $20,000 on this movie. They just had to buy a bunch of film and then rebuy it. Yeah, there's stuff besides the original print of this movie. There's like nothing left because it was all lost.
Yeah, like in the opening, there's like, you know, like restoration of this movie paid for by George Lucas and somebody else.
Yep. Yeah, it was a lo-fi. Because I forget they actually. Someone was saying how there's marked differences in the video releases of this movie because anyone can release it. Yeah, you can just buy it, or you can just because it's public domain. And yeah, there was a lot of different original grainy release DVDs of this movie, and then there's like really restored Blu-ray versions of it, which is strange, but they do that. I'm not a big fan of the zombie genre. I never got on the zombie boat. But I did like this one just because of its uniqueness and it's like an antique car. It's just fun to see. And then Zack Snyder's Day of the Dead or Dawn of the Dead.
Dawn of the Dead. Both Dawn of the Deads are great.
Yeah. I don't remember the other one, but the one from the late 70s I haven't seen in a long time.
Which one?
Dawn of the Dead.
Was that late 70s? I guess.
That was like 70.
Probably. I think when I watch it, I think of more of an 80s movie because of like some of the technology in there, but you forget like the kind of technology that was around in the 70s. Like, oh yeah, they had electronics and shit.
Yeah, the iconic scene from the Dawn of the Dead movie, the original one for me, is the guy trying to hide from the zombies in the blood pressure machine, where he throws the mannequin out of the blood pressure machine and just acts like he's still a mannequin, and then they still fight him and eat him anyway. It's like, but no.
And then the 28 Days Later saga, whatever those are. They're not zombies, but, you know,
virus infected.
Yeah, plague or whatever, yeah.
I mean, the best Dawn of the Dead is like the best first 10 minutes of a movie. One Zack Snyder did. And what was that? 2000. What was that? 2002?
7?
7 was it?
I think it was earlier 2000, like 2001, 2002.
I can look it up because I have 2004.
Oh, 2004. Okay. Yeah, it was the best first 10 minutes of a movie ever.
I know. I mean, otherwise, if you're going for other zombie movies that are good, Shaun of the Dead's still a good movie. I don't know if it holds up comedic wise as it used to, since everybody's seen it a million times now. But I mean,
it's like the Monty Python of zombie movies.
I like how it just like got really violent at the end there. It's like, all right, now it's an authentic zombie movie.
Guy shoots his mom.
But yeah, I mean, now modern day wise, there's a shit ton of zombie movies and a shit ton of.
Well, you got The Walking
zombie
Dead.
movies,
That's
yeah.
kind of like, oh, there's money here. So like, I wrote a zombie movie, but now it's just like, why would you make it? It's like I'm not doing anything that different.
Besides the Canadian Special Forces. In the hardware store, but that...
Well, they only show up at the end.
Oh, I know.
And you don't even know they're Canadian Special Forces. that was the twist. It's like, why is there Canadian Special Forces in America? What's going on?
Mm-hmm.
And then you get 3 more movies.
Interdimensional Canadian super soldier. Speaking of Canadian movies, another one I like is Pontypool.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that is a good movie. I forgot about that one.
I don't know what those are. I'm gonna say zombie. Well, anything mindless that attack.
Language infected zombies.
I know there's another one I'm forgetting. I swear, I can't think of the damn name. I know there's one that's like more recent that has like, god damn it, can't think of his fucking name.
What's the Brad Pitt movie?
Oh, World War Z.
Yeah, World War Z.
Well, I'm thinking this one's more of a low budget one. It has like Rainn Wilson in it as a gym coach, but also the guy that played Frodo in Lord of the Rings. I can't think of his fucking name.
Oh, Sean Astin.
No, Frodo.
Oh, Frodo. Fucking god damn it.
It's called Cooties.
Huh.
It's like a bunch of kids get anybody that has to hit puberty is if they eat these tainted chicken nuggets that basically become like flesh craving zombies basically to run around and try and bite people and kill them and shit.
So my big zombie thing was it was going to be a multiple apocalypse series.
Yeah, because wasn't there like werewolves on moon bases or something like that?
No, that's a different movie.
Oh.
So this one's going to start with the zombie movie. It's called Parade at the End of the World. Copyrighted. It's in the Library of Congress. Well, it's copyrighted by the Library of Congress. It's not like in there. Well, actually, I sent a copy somewhere. It's in some warehouse for the Library of Congress. Yeah, it's a zombie movie where people are get holed up in a warehouse or in a hardware store, and then they make weapons to kill zombies with. Because I thought that'd be cool. Like, what if MacGyver had to kill zombies?
Oh, okay.
Nowadays, if somebody got trapped in a hardware store, like, I take zombies to death with the zombies. I don't know how to make anything.
So I have like a thing where like they kind of have like like the dog catcher kind of thing, so as you can keep your distance from the zombie. You rope them up, you put them on the ground, and you take a sawzall and you just cut their heads off, because that's like you know they're dead if you cut their heads off.
Yeah.
My one twist is that it's like, so you have like one character, her friend died, like they were jogging and she got killed by a zombie, and then like you see her like stumbling around, and like they'll like go out in waves and like start killing the zombies. It's almost like Zulu, where like they kill a bunch of zombies and then there's more zombies show up. And then but they go out and kill all the zombies, and then like they'll come back in, and then like her friend's just like stumbling around. It's like, how did we miss her? And so you just keep coming back to her, and you see that she's like she starts to like gain more motor function and stuff like that, because like the whatever's like reanimating people, it's actually like just, it's like if it continues on, they will become a human again, and that's supposed to be like the that's supposed to be like the twist, is like, oh shit, they were going to become human again. Now we killed them.
Just murdering people.
And then like they have to leave the warehouse for some reason. I can't remember, or not the warehouse, the hardware store for some reason. I can't remember.
I thought there was like a fog or something.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I can't remember if I made it, if that's why they leave or not. But yeah, there is a fog that comes in. There's a green fog that comes in, and like when they're running away, that's when like some special forces come in. Cause you have like the one guy is like the main guy. Gets like I like this little bit I wrote. So he goes, he sees a gun store. Yeah. And like and there's a point where like they have all their weapons and they're killing bunches of zombies. So the guy has a sawzall. One guy has a nail gun, but it's where it's like has the .22 rifle like nail gun.
Reaming nailer type gun.
Yeah, so he has that like on the end of the pole, and he just hits the zombies in the head, and their heads explode. Like it's a shotgun shell, not just a little nail gun.
Yeah, just a little hole wouldn't be dramatic. Got a watermelon with a 50 cal.
And so like the main guy has to. I think it's Ben. Yeah, it's Ben. So he has to run away, and then he sees a gun store, and he's like, "Oh, cool! Like we've been fighting this whole time with just like hand-to-hand weapons. Like I'm gonna get a gun." And you see this part where like he takes his sawzall and he like goes to throw it at the window, and it's like, yeah, it's gonna break the window. And then you just see the sawzall just plink off the window, and it doesn't break it at all. And then he, holding onto a zombie, crashes through the door with that's the door window, and then he grabs some guns, and then he goes out there and kills some zombies, but then he gets like trapped in a car surrounded by zombies, and that's when you see like a Black Hawk come in and just like strafe with miniguns and just kill all these zombies. And then like, all right, we're getting saved, and they get in there, and then at some point you see just like when they close the door on the helicopter, you see it's a Canadian flag, and you're supposed to be like, what the fuck's that about? And then as like the helicopter's taking off, you see the green fog start rolling in, and the green fog was supposed to clean out the air of the zombie plague thing, or it wasn't even a plague. I can't even remember whatever it was. And so the second apocalypse movie was a movie where a guy and two girls like have to escape the green fog in a car, and like that's their apocalypse movie. And like they keep coming across, like, you know, it's like a road trip movie, and they keep coming across, you know, American stuff, but it's just abandoned, you know, like one of those movies. I can't remember that end. The whole thing about that is like the guy like thought because he saved these two women, like he's gonna get laid, and then like they end up being lesbians, and that's like the whole thing.
That's the twist.
Yeah.
Sexual frustration of the straight white male.
Probably why I didn't write it.
Rage penis.
Then the third one was because of the green fog covering everything. There's a guy up in space who's just abandoned up there. So he has to get back to Earth. And he lands in the salt flats. And like he doesn't know if Earth is fucked up, so he has to like go around in his fucking astronaut suit.
Like a decon suit. Just
Yeah.
to keep it safe.
Which those things are really fucking heavy, and he's in the fucking desert. Well, I guess it's a climate controlled suit, so it doesn't matter how hot or cold it is, but
It doesn't have unlimited power though.
yeah. And then like I can't remember, like that was supposed to be kind of like Mad Max. Like this guy comes back from space, and then like he's in the desert, and then like suddenly there's just like Mad Max is going on. And then like you bring back the people from the other stories, and that was all supposed to be one multi-apocalypse series.
Oh, okay. That's kind of a cool idea for sure.
But yeah, you know, zombie movies became pretty lousy, so it's like, well, that's never gonna happen.
Well, it's just a genre where they've explored almost every aspect. They've comedy, horror, dark horror.
Oh yeah.
Everything. And The Walking Dead has just reached saturation.
Warm Bodies was another one that.
Oh yeah, that was different.
Was
Yeah.
pretty good. Because you said like they kind of explored everything, and I was kind of thinking like, well, how about talking zombies? Like, oh yeah, they kind of did that with Warm Bodies.
Well, do we have anything else for this week?
Enjoy the time warp.
Oh
Yes, we're going to gain an hour.
Is that tomorrow night or tonight?
Tonight.
Oh, okay. Yay! I get an hour sleep.
No, just an extra hour of drinking. Extra hour of sadness.
Last
right.
call. Hold on. It's last call again.
All right. Well, this week for the American Greed Factory podcast, this is Nathan.
Conlon.
Andrew.
Goodbye, America.